One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
The Right Honorable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada, and Mrs. Diana Fox Carney. Le Très Honorable Mark Carney, Premier Ministre du Canada, et Madame Diana Fox Carney. Her Excellency Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, and Professor Dr. Heiko von der Leyen. Son Excellence, Madame Ursula von der Leyen, Présidente de la Commission européenne, et Professeur Dr. Heiko von der Leyen. His Excellency Antonio Costa, President of the European Council. Son Excellence Monsieur Antonio Costa, Président du Conseil européen.
You will see the thing from yesterday. Diana had a scan.
His Excellency Friedrich Merz, Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany, and Mrs. Charlotte Merz. Son Excellence, Monsieur Friedrich Merz, Chancelier de la République fédérale d'Allemagne, et Madame Charlotte Merz.
During our football talk. My wife.
His Excellency Shigeru Ishida, Prime Minister of Japan, and Mrs. Yoshiko Ishida. Son Excellence, Monsieur Shigeru Ishida, Premier ministre du Japon, et Madame Yoshiko Ishida. The Right Honorable Sir Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Le très honorable Sir Keir Starmer, Premier ministre du Royaume-Uni de Grande-Bretagne et d'Irlande du Nord. Her Excellency Giorgia Meloni, President of the Council of Ministers of the Italian Republic. Son Excellence Madame Giorgia Meloni, Présidente du Conseil des ministres de la République italienne. Honorable Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, l'honorable Donald J. Trump, Président des États-Unis d'Amérique.
My wife Diana. You go over there. I'll put you in the middle. Not bad. Perfect right up there. We got the first one to everybody. We said 100% chance of rain. I thought it was good. But that's how 50 years ago. You good? Okay. All right. So if you come this way, yeah, and then we'll step on
Are you considering some sponsor buses to Israel first?
All right, everyone. Breathe deep. This is history you're watching. It's the G7 in Canada. And all the world leaders, well, actually the G7 world leaders are coming together and they're going to be meeting. So, last one. Here's the last one. All right, so your president is in Canada and he's meeting with these leaders from around the world. You saw Italy, France, I think it was Japan, remember, no Russia, obviously, but many of the big leaders of the world. And I thought it might be, important to see what your president is doing up in Canada. I also have a very short video where he gave remarks with Mark Carney. Now, before I get any complaints, this is what the feed looked like. The feed had about a little bit of a Japanese movie look to it, but nonetheless, since we do cover Trump here, we're going to cover this and listen to what he says to Mark Carney when they did the press gaggle. And then we'll get on with the show.
Welcome to Canada. Thank you. It's a great honor. Happy birthday. A few days short. A little bit. A few days short, but didn't have a chance to see you on the day. Happy birthday to the U.S. military as well, 250th. And this is the 50th birthday, if you will, of the G7. This marks the 50th birthday of the G7. And the G7 is nothing without U.S. leadership. And your personal leadership of the United States, many issues, geopolitics, economic, technology, and working hand in hand with the United States, Canada and the United States, and the other G7 partners with your leadership. Very much looking forward to the meeting and grateful to have you.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate it, and we've developed a very good relationship, and we're going to be talking about trade and many other things. And we have a whole group of people, some traders and some other people. I see my top economy people. But we have a very talented group of people, and you do too, and I know they work together very well. I look forward to that. The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in, and I would say that was a mistake, because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in, and you wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago, but it didn't work out that way. But it used to be the G8. And now it's, I guess, what's that, 8 years ago, it switched over. They threw Russia out, which I claimed was a very big mistake. Even though I wasn't in politics then, I was very loud about it. It was a mistake in that you spend so much time talking about Russia, and he's no longer at the table, so it makes life more complicated. But you wouldn't have had the war. Other than that, I think we're going to accomplish a lot, and I expect to. And I think our primary focus will be trade and trade with Canada, and I'm sure we can work something out.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so much. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, what is holding up a deal with Canada from your perspective?
It's not so much holding up. I think we have different concepts. I have a tariff concept. Mark has a different concept, which is something that some people like. But we're going to see if we can get to the bottom of it today. I'm a tariff person. I've always been a tariff. It's simple, it's easy, it's precise, and it just goes very quickly. And I think Mark has a more complex idea, but also very good. So we're going to look at both, and we're going to see what we're going to come out with something. Hopefully.
Do you think a deal is achievable within days, within weeks? Is there that kind of runway?
Yeah, it's achievable. Both parties have to agree. Yeah, sure.
Mr. President, have you heard any signals or seen any messages from intermediaries that Iran wishes to de-escalate the conflict?
Yeah.
What have you heard? What have you heard from the Iranians?
They'd like to talk, but they should have done that before. I had 60 days, and they had 60 days, and on the 61st day, I said, we don't have a deal. They have to make a deal, and it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war, and they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
And what would you say, in your opinion, what would it take for the U.S. to get involved in this conflict militarily?
I don't want to talk about that.
As you mentioned Putin, do you think that he should have a seat at the G7 today, that it should be the G8?
I'm not saying he should at this point, because too much water's gone over the dam, maybe. But it was a big mistake. Obama didn't want him, and the head of your country, the proud head of your country, didn't want him. This was a big mistake. You wouldn't have that war. You know, you have your enemy at the table. Even I don't even consider him. He wasn't really an enemy at that time. There was no concept. If I were president, this war would have never happened. But likewise, if he were a member of what was called the G8 at that time, it was always the G8, you wouldn't have a war right now.
Why not? What intelligence support are you providing Israel?
We've always supported Israel. We have for a long period of time, strongly. And Israel's doing very well right now.
Why not have China at the G8? Why not have China here, the biggest economy in the world after the United States?
Well, it's not a bad idea. I don't mind that. If somebody wants to suggest China coming in, I think we suggest. But you want to have people that you can talk to. You know, they don't talk to. Putin speaks to me. He doesn't speak to anybody else. He doesn't want to talk because he was very insulted when he got thrown out of the G8. As I would be, as you would be, as anybody would be. He was very insulted. And, I mean, he was thrown out by Trudeau, who convinced one or two people, along with Obama. He was thrown out, and he's not a happy person about it, I can tell you that. He basically doesn't even speak to the people that throw him out, and I agree with him.
Go
ahead.
On immigration, why are you ordering ICE to target Democratic inner cities? What's behind that?
I don't know what you're saying.
You did a post last night where you said you want ICE to really target Democrats.
Yeah, I want them to focus on the cities, because the cities are where you really have what's called sanctuary cities, and that's where the people are. I look at New York, I look at Chicago. I mean, you got a really bad governor in Chicago and a bad mayor, but the governor's probably the worst in the country, Pritzker. But I look at how that city has been overrun by criminals, and New York and L.A. Look at L.A. L.A. Those people weren't from L.A. They weren't from California. Most of those people, many of those people, and that's a focus. Biden allowed 21 million people to come into our country. Of that, vast numbers of those people were murderers, killers, people from gangs, people from jails. They emptied their jails out into the U.S. Most of those people are in the cities. All blue cities. All blue cities. All Democrat-run cities. and they think they're going to use them to vote. It's not going to happen.
You said it would take 2 weeks to decide.
If you don't mind, just I'm going to exercise my role, if you will, as G7 chair, since we have a few more minutes with the president and his team, and then we actually have to start the meeting to address some of these big issues. So, alors merci beaucoup pour vos questions. Thank you. That's it. That's it. Thank you very much.
All right, so that's it. Now they go into the meeting portion. I don't know how people can find that boring. To me, it's like historical. I'm watching things happen. The part that they're allowing us to see, you can just look at Carney. Carney realizes he's not in control. There is nothing in the way that man stood there that showed you at all that Canada is in control. And of course, the media doesn't pay any attention. Can you move? We're trying to get this shot of the president, President Trump. Move over, okay? Not a single question. Nothing to Canada. It all revolves around Trump. All right, welcome to the 1 o'clock show. Tonight we'll go at about 7:30, but the 1 o'clock show. So I don't understand why people get bored, but nonetheless, I got a whole bunch of stuff for you. A whole bunch of stuff for you. You guys are going to be just packed by the time you leave here. So I'm going to jump right in. Not going to waste any time. Want to talk to you about something. You saw the thumbnail. I guess let me just put it back up in case some of you guys missed it. That was the thumbnail that I put up this morning. Get them out. Get them all out. Mass deportation airlines. So, President Trump went scorched earth. When did he drop this? Let me see what time this went up. This got posted at 8:43 p.m. last night. And when he dropped this, all hell broke loose. And a little bit of it broke loose from Trump supporters as well. And I'll tell you why in a second. All right, here we go. Our nation's ICE officers have shown incredible strength, determination, and courage as they facilitate a very important mission, the largest mass deportation operation of newcomers in history. Every day, the brave men and women of ICE are subjected to violence, harassment, and even threats from radical Democrat politicians, but nothing will stop us from executing our mission and fulfilling our mandate to the American people. You know, what I found interesting about this, he waited until all the crap was over. Oh, the whole New Kings protest. People just acting a fool all around the country. And then President Trump dropped this bomb. Just to let them know, in no uncertain terms, everything you did, everything you tried to do, everything you thought meant something, we're not stopping. In fact, we are now going to ramp up. Deal with that, knuckleheads. All right, let's continue. This is here. Every day, the brave men and women of ICE are subjected to harassment and even threats from radical Democrat politicians, but nothing will stop us from executing our mission and fulfilling our mandate to the American people. ICE officers are herewith ordered. Very important part here. ICE officers are hereby ordered by notice of this post to do everything in their power to achieve the very important goal of delivering the single largest mass deportation program in history. President Trump, in essence, unleashed the hounds. You are now ordered. Not let's talk about it, let's think about it. Get out there, do whatever you need to do, round them up, let's go. Get them out. Which I'm sure people freaked out. Well, I'm positive because I saw it last night and I saw it today. People are freaking out. In order to achieve this, we must expand efforts to detain and deport newcomers in America's largest cities, such as Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York, where millions upon millions of newcomers reside. I forgot on my YouTube. These and other such cities are the core of the Democrat Power Center, where they use newcomers to expand their voter base. Going to have an interview with the congressman later on. They're going to talk more about that. They also use to cheat in elections and grow the welfare state, robbing good-paying jobs and benefits from hard-working American citizens. These radical left Democrats are sick. They're crazy. They hate our country and actually want to destroy our inner cities, and they are doing a good job of it. There is something wrong with them. That is why they believe in open borders, transformers for everybody, and men playing in women's sports. And that is why I want ICE, Border Patrol, and our great and patriotic law enforcement officers to focus, in big letters, on our crime-ridden and deadly inner cities and those places where sanctuary cities play such a big role. You don't hear about sanctuary cities in our heartland. Now that was a big sentence. I want you, because there are some naysayers in Trump world right now. I'm going to address some of them. They might get some unsubscribes and people complaining in the chat. So mods, be ready. Just let you know. There's something here that he said that was missed by a lot of people. All right. He goes, and those places where sanctuary cities play such a big role. Not just in the inner city. Those places where sanctuary cities play such a big role. Why is that important? I'm going to show you some things in a second here on why that's really important. But there are a lot of people in MAGA world who are spreading rumors. Let me be the first person, if no one else has told you, tell them to shut the hell up. They're talking about, President Trump is doing a carve-out for hotel workers and farm workers and restaurant workers. Tell them to shut the hell up. I'm going to tell you why. Because a lot of people are getting their fifis and their nipples all sore because they're worried about there being a carve-out. And even some big channels and big influencers are out, whatever an influencer is, are out there saying things like, oh my God, he's doing a carve-out. We didn't vote for this. Shut up. I'll show you why in a little bit. But shut up. Notice this part, which nobody's talked about. And those places where sanctuary cities play such a big role. You don't hear about sanctuary cities in our heartland. I want our brave officers to know that real Americans are cheering you on every day. He shouldn't have to tell them that. That should be you right now hitting up Tom Homan, telling law enforcement, hey, we appreciate what you do. All right. The American people want our cities, schools, and communities to be safe and free from newcomer crime, conflict, and chaos. That's why I've directed my entire administration, to put every resource possible behind this effort and reverse the tide of mass destruction, migration that has turned once idyllic towns into scenes of third world dystopia. I want to pause there for a second because some of the people who are out there screaming about the carve-out exception and getting really pissed at Brooke Rollins, who is the agricultural secretary. Let me just ask you something. You ready for me here? You ready for me? When he says that's why I've directed my entire administration to put every resource possible behind this effort, you think he was like, wait, all of you except Brooke. Brooke, you know what you're doing. You got to make the carve-out for the farm workers, right? Yeah, you got to do that. And then we got to talk to Howard Lutnick, and he's going to have to carve out, for other stuff like hotel workers and restaurants, right? That's what people are telling you. That's what they're bitching about on X right now, right? Well, funny. He said his entire administration. But yet there's people out there, naysayers as normal, who don't want you to read everything. That's why I take the time to read the entire thing. Let's continue. Our federal government will continue to be focused on the remigration of newcomers to the places where they came and preventing the admission of anyone who undermines the domestic tranquility of the United States. To the ICE, FBI, DEA, and ATF, the Patriots at the Pentagon, at the State Department. Hold on. Back up. You're talking about mass deportations, right? Right. Uh-huh. So I understand ICE. I understand FBI. I understand DEA. maybe understand ATF. What does the Pentagon have to do with deportations? Not my words, his. To ICE, yada, 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 the patriots at the Pentagon. That's interesting. And the State Department, you have my unwavering support. Now go get the job done. So he just told ICE, FBI, DEA, ATF, and the patriots at the Pentagon. Last time I checked, the Pentagon was the military. His order said the entirety of his administration, and I'm unleashing the hounds of heck, I didn't say that double L word, to go after and do whatever you need to do to, quote, get the job done. Exclamation point. Look at everybody he included. The entirety of his administration and basically every three-letter agency except CIA, basically. And he included the Pentagon. So let me ask you a question. You think he's making a carve-out of some sort for people? Well, he posted this video, which I think people used to run with, and they complained mightily. I want you to hear something here.
And we're going to work with people so that if they go out in a nice way and go back to their country, we're going to work with them right from the beginning on trying to get them back in legally. Is that right?
A chance to come back.
So it gives you real incentive. Otherwise, they never come back. They'll never be allowed once a certain period of time goes by, which is probably going to be 60 days. We're also going to work with farmers that if they have strong recommendations for their farms for certain people, we're going to let them stay in for a while and work with the farmers and then come back and go through a process, a legal process. But we have to take care of our farmers and hotels and various places where where they need the people. And we're going to be working with you very carefully on that. So a farmer will come in with a letter concerning certain people saying they're great, they're working hard. We're going to slow it down a little bit for them. And then we're going to ultimately bring them back. They'll go out. They're going to come back as...
hold on. The influencers and YouTubers didn't say that part. What do you mean? Wait, oh, he's just going to... No, he didn't carve out crap. Get out. You're going to get a letter of recommendation. And that letter of recommendation would then allow you to come in legally. So what you have to understand with that letter of recommendation, Mr. President, yes, Mr. Rodriguez here is a good worker. What happens when the farmer tells President Trump that Mr. Rodriguez is a good worker? He's acknowledging the newcomer. He is basically writing a list. Hey, can we do something about Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Gomez, Mr. Tex-Mex? Can we make it do something about these guys? They work really good. Oh, these guys? The guys you just wrote down on a list and told me? Thank you. Thank you for basically squealing on them. Hey, Tom. Hey, Tom. Yeah, come on. I got a list at old man Emerson's farm here, and he just gave me a list of a whole bunch of guys who ain't supposed to be here, but they're good workers. All right, so what I want you to do is give them the round trip ticket. They got to get the hell out, but if they're willing to do the right thing with the recommendation of Mr. Emerson's farm, let's give them, a ticket in line for them to come back the legal way. I bet you every single person you heard on X didn't tell you that. They completely just ignored that. Oh, he's making a big carve out. Everybody's going to be able to get... What are you, idiots? I'm looking at this stuff and going, I covered this speech. You watched it. You should have known. Don't fall for it. You watched... Did you hear what he said? So now I got this list of newcomers who ain't supposed to be here, but they're good workers. And what I'm going to do is tell them you got to leave and then get in line. And then, we'll work about getting you here the legal way. Isn't that a lot different what people have been telling you on X? Isn't that a lot different than what the sensational people have been screaming about? Did they leave that part out when they were telling you everything? Of course they did. They need clicks. They're not going to tell you this. Oh, wait a minute. We got to get down into the details. And I bet you there's another detail that may be coming. Okay, so let me just tell you. Here's the other detail. Mr. Emerson, you are vouching for these people. You're going to say that these are good people here on the list, right? Yeah. Okay, so if they're not good people, we're coming for you. Because you're the one who's telling the federal government that this guy here and all these people are worth having. Listen some more.
Workers. Okay.
What made you change your mind about targeting in California farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business?
Well, we're not targeting. In fact, if you look today, I put out a statement today about farmers. Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers. And leisure, too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
Common sense. So I want you to use your common sense as everyone's out there screaming, oh my God, I didn't vote for this. Yes, you did. You voted specifically for this. You voted for him to get people out. And if they're good people, which we do want good, productive people, he's like, I'm going to show you a way to get back in, which is what we're doing already. My dad, many other people who had legal entry into this country and became prosperous members or productive members of society, or maybe both, were able to come in through the front door. They get all their paperwork and everything's fine. Nobody has basically advocated for zero immigration. We want legal immigration. And President Trump is trying to facilitate that. So one of the things that you need to do, I would hope that you would do, is stop listening to idiots on social media and on YouTube. Not even me. I'll be the first idiot for you. I want to show you something. Whenever somebody says Trump is going to do this, Trump is going to do that, there is a very simple remedy for you to understand what he's doing. And let me show that to you. This remedy that you have right now is called the White House website. You don't ever have to wonder. You can go to whitehouse.gov. Notice what he said. We're going to have an order on that soon. Soon? I don't know what soon is, but there is none right now. So what they're doing is talking. So what you saw President Trump do right there was a trial balloon. He wants to hear from people. What do you think? Hey, what do you think about this, these people here getting a return trip? What do you think? You watching, what do you think? You post about it. But now you can post about it with an informed, substantiated base. It's like, oh, you're not just letting them stay. No. They got to go. Then they can come back. So now tell me what you think about that. I wouldn't think many people would have a problem with that because that's what legal immigration actually is. So if you have a problem with that, what you're saying in no uncertain terms to everyone watching is, I don't want anybody coming in the country, even legally. Now you're stepping into a whole different quagmire that nobody has talked about, not even President Trump. But if you want people to be legal, why wouldn't you be for this? See, that's where you're going to have to look in the mirror and go, oh, wait a second. Yeah, I agree with legal immigration, and this is what this would facilitate. Why am I still angry that there would be legal immigration? Now, I did see in some of the comments that some people were saying they should go after the employers who hired all these illegals. I concur, but maybe that's how you get them to fess up. Listen, before we take your business and shut it down, here's what we're going to need you to do. You're going to have to disclose all the people who have been working here. You're going to have to disclose or allow our investigators to see how much money you've made on illegals. Oh, this ain't going to be easy. This is an order that's way deeper than what you just heard. Unfortunately, too many people on social media and YouTube jump on something like, dude, number one, there hasn't, so let me just show you. There's no order. So that's what the trial balloon is for. It gives you the opportunity to go, yeah, I don't like that. And voice your opinion. I don't like that. Send it to the White House. Send it to Caroline Leavitt. Send it to Rapid Response. Send it to the Trump War Room. Don't send it to me. I don't have contact with the administration. Send it to the administration. Send it to Tom Homan. What do you think about the round trip for the ones that are working in these industries? Let them know. You have the opportunity. How do I know you have the opportunity? Because he said nothing's done yet. It's coming. And so right now they're probably going through fact-finding. This is how you'll know when it's actually done. Very simple. Don't have to listen to me. Don't have to listen to 19 other people on YouTube talking crap. Go to the whitehouse.gov and just click right here under news. When you get to the news tab, it says articles, briefings, presidential actions. What's under presidential actions, you say? Executive orders, memoranda, exactly. Let me look at any new executive orders. Nope. Nothing since June 13th. And you can actually look at all the executive orders that have been executed. Not talked about, not planned, not under consideration. The ones that have actually been signed. And every single, matter of fact, if you haven't been here, maybe you might want to go looking through here. If you've never been on this page to see all of the different executive orders that have been signed, maybe this would be a good chance for you to actually go to the page and look. All right, so maybe it's not executive order. Maybe he's going to do a presidential memoranda. Again, June 12th was the last one he signed. And nope, nothing yet. Well, maybe it was a proclamation, which would basically hold not much legal basis, but Father's Day, Flag Day, the 250th anniversary, National Ocean Month, enhancing national security. See, all this stuff is there. You don't have to really worry too much about people lying to you. Oh, Trump's going to do this or he's going to do that. No, he's considering it. We got to do. His exact words were, "We got to do something. We're looking at it. We'll do something soon." Well, before soon happens, take your keyboard and let it be known. There's 77 million of us. As many as possible should be hitting the keyboard and talking about this. That's all you really have to do, and you don't have to worry about everybody else. So what have you learned thus far? A, Trump has unleashed the hounds. He's going for as many deportations as possible. He told these people to basically pound sand. We're coming for you. He's enlisted almost every alphabet agency in the country. Somehow he's tying in the military. He told the military, you are now ordered to do whatever you need to do. Oh, what does that mean? I don't know. But you now know he has decided he's going for it. He's in Canada today. But who knows what Tom Homan's stopping. They're going. They're going. They're going. You have to understand all of this as you look forward. Don't fall for crap. And I'm never going to mention a name. I am never going to say to anybody, so-and-so said this and they were full of it, or so-and-so said that and they're full of it. Because it doesn't matter. It's on you. I keep telling you, do your own research. Be that guy, be that gal. Hey, I don't know what you're saying is true. I'm going to go look this up. Well, as of right now, at 1:45 on Monday, June 16th, there is no order giving any sort of carve-out to the hotel, restaurant, or farm workers. There's something being considered, and you just need to know everything that's being considered before you can move forward. That's the truth. That's the absolute truth, isn't it? I'm not lying to you. I've just shown you. And I think by now you guys also know I'm somebody who really, really doesn't care if people unsubscribe or don't like what I have to say, because I try to bring as much truth to this as possible. And the only way I can bring truth is to let you guys know what's actually happening. Now, what might happen, that's all I can do. And that's my pledge to everybody who watches my stuff, which, by the way, if you notice, things are going to change around here. I'm going to try and go every single day at 1 o'clock and make that a set time. And then I'm going to do some different things throughout the show so that I can have a good pacing, which allows me to get up, go to the bathroom, do some stretching, because I want to make sure that I stay healthy as well. And so there's going to be a few breaks where I'm just going to take a break. Allow you to take a break. Go to your refrigerator. Do what you need to do. Walk the dog. Not walk the dog, but let the dog out. So you're going to see some of that today as we move forward. We got a whole bunch of stuff to follow. Let me tell you right now about Brightcore and Kimchi. And let me ask you something. When was the last time you thought about your gut health? Most people don't realize this, but your gut isn't where just digestion happens. It's where your immune system lives. If you ever had anything where, you're constipated or you couldn't go, and then all of a sudden you felt sick, it's probably because some of that stuff is backing up on you. It's also where your energy is regulated, and even where your mental clarity and mood are shaped. Yeah, because if you've ever been constipated, you don't really feel like you're in a happy mood. Kimchi One from Brightcore Nutrition takes everything powerful about traditional fermented kimchi, over 900 strains of probiotics and antioxidants and enzymes, and puts it in convenient capsules you can take daily. No mess, no prep, no strong odor, just real results. You can expect to feel more energized, clearer mentally, and have smoother digestion. Over time, you'll even notice a difference in your skin and hair. And we know that's true based on real science. Kimchi has also been shown in clinical studies to reduce the risk of obesity, support healthy blood sugar, and improve metabolism. Kimchi One is a non-GMO, all-natural, dairy-free, gluten-free, and 100% made in USA by a company that truly believes in wellness and integrity. Right now, you can get 25% off by using the code BARRY at mybrightcore.com/Barry. But for an even better deal, just like with my gold people, they like talking to you. So if you want to talk about some of the problems that you're having, call Brightcore at 888-418-6738 for up to 50% off and free shipping, and even a free bottle of vitamin D3 with your order. Do something great for your health today. Again, that number is 888-418-6738. All right, so let's take a few comments and see what you guys are thinking thus far about, the newcomers. Wow, I just heard a song named Burn My Flag. I don't know about that one. Just had my kimchi, a total tuna omelet. I used to make tuna omelets and people used to laugh at me. I'm like, I love my tuna omelets. Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Patty Paper. Where's Patty's comment? Oh, Patty's Paper Designs. Yes, Barry. There are a lot of people on YouTube talking crap. Lots of clickbait. I watch you in Veteran Biker, and that's pretty much all. There's no reason for the clickbait. If you're actually reporting on stuff that actually happened, report on what actually happened. Then, of course, give your opinion. But I'd like to substantiate what I'm saying. I just don't want to, bleh, vomit on people. It's crazy. Enjoying the Trump train full throttle. Absolutely. Sit back, enjoy the 4-year ride. Limit legally. Okay. This would be a great one. Rhonda, that's fantastic. See, that's a comment I would send to Tom Homan. I would send that to Christy Nome. Hey, listen, if you're going to bring people back in the front door, make them speak English and limit the number that you bring in. Make it worthy. Make it like it's special. And it can be revoked at any time. See, that'd be something else I would say. Gotta speak English. None of this blah, 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 blah. No. I hate it when I get on the phone and call tech support. I hate it. Hey, man, you got anybody there who speaks English? I can't take this. Are you speaking English? No, I mean real English. Sorry. I don't mean to sound like Archie Bunker, but damn. I'm so over it. 2012 martial law was done. Just saying that for a friend of mine. Yeah, it was. They've been very disrespectful, and we owe them nothing. True. The thing that we have to balance is, do we owe the businesses anything? Not owe them, because I'm sure they're going to have to pay a fine or something for employing these people. Imagine how many years that they've employed these people and didn't pay taxes. Ooch, ouch. Let's see here. Exactly. I press 1 for English. It's annoying. You're right, Gina. What about the back taxes they owe? That would, okay. See, you guys are giving out some good comments. What about the back taxes they owe? Let them know. Let them know how you're feeling. Hey, Tom, I understand what you guys are thinking. Here's something that we really want. We've had to pay ours. These people who have employed them, we need to, before you can even consider bringing people back, the business owner has to, make good. Completely agree with you. Love it. Love it. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, well, Barry, that's just too bad. I don't know what that means. Let me keep going here. All in the Family was great. Must pay all back taxes. Yeah, that should be a deal breaker right there. You got to pay every dime of back taxes before we can even consider talking to these people. Would you or I be able to block convicted criminals from being brought into a prison? It's insane that they allow these people to do outside of office detention centers, especially in New Jersey. Yep. Yeah. Go to jail. Let's see. Long. Okay. Teresa says, I think Tressa, we should have a long pause on immigration until we get most of the newcomers out. That's what I voted for, and not carve-outs. Okay. Now, see that I love it that you're giving actual comments. You're not being mean. That's something that Tressa would like. She'd like to see a pause. Pump the brakes. Let's get everything under control before we even think about bringing more people in. That's a good comment. That should be under consideration. How long is it going to be? They can't just go out and come right back in. That doesn't give you enough of a punishment. We don't even do that with our children. Even with our children, it's like, hey, okay, you've screwed up, go sit in the corner for a little while, or you're going to get the spankety spank, and then we'll let you know what we're going to do. So we got to make it something where they feel privilege. You're earning something. You just can't go out the revolving door. Good one. Love that. Mike Osborne, don't let them send earnings back to Mexico, put it back into our economy. Bingo. Another good thing. Hey, Tom Homan, all right, if you're going to repatriate, these people and send them home, but you're going to allow some of them to come back to work in certain industries, how about no remittances for, I don't know, a year? They got to spend the money here. You're going to work here, you're going to spend the money here. Got no problem with that. You see, I was hoping I could do this show today and get those types of comments. And those are the type of comments you guys can now put out there. All right, let's as a nation have this conversation. All right, so he's thinking about this. Okay, what would I be okay with? That's a great thing. No more of these sending all the cash back to Mexico. Nope, we're done with that. Love it. Let's see. I'm a hard-working American. Let's see. I'd like to know what that means too. Let's see. Borders should be closed for at least 1 year. Okay. Yeah. High taxes on Western Union to Mexico. Love it. Love it. Love absolutely what you guys are saying. You see the difference? Just in some of the comments I've been showing, do you see the difference between having a conversation and discussing something, whereas other people are out there just flame throwing and going, yeah. I'm like, come on. Yeah, let's get in a huddle and think about this. And I'm pretty sure if 77 million people let this administration know what they felt, yeah, I think it'd make a difference. So get typing. Get typing. Let's see here. What do we got here? I'm so glad you mentioned speaking English. It's most impossible time to understand if you're not speaking English. Tell me about it. I live here in South Florida. And, there are certain parts of South Florida, Calle Ocho, and certain parts of Miami, where you are in another country. You are the foreigner. I don't like that. I want to know, even if I pulled up into a McDonald's and if I hit the speaker and the lady's talking to me, I'm like, no, man, no hable español. No. Speak it in English. That's huge for me. And I live down here. All right, so I want you guys to take that and go with it and begin talking about that, because I think it's very, very important. I think it's something that this country needs is dialogue. That's the biggest thing moving forward out of this, to me, is dialogue. There's no problem with people not liking certain things. There's no problem with people having an opinion. There's a problem when people don't want to hear the opinion. And I love some of the things you guys have been saying, and to be honest, I wouldn't have a problem with, the ones I put on the screen. I wouldn't have a problem with those being conditions. And then if you don't like the conditions, well, stay the hell out. This is our criteria. This is our country, and this is what we're going to do to allow you to come in. Period. And all the ones running around in Los Angeles and everything else, the hell with them. Hell with them. All right, so what am I going through here? I want to show you, I put up a poll, and the poll was, do you want the Trump phone? And it's funny because 46% of people said yes, of course. Only 14% said no. Well, that's pretty strong. But 40% or 39% of people said, what the hell are you talking about, Barry? Well, for you people who don't know what I'm talking about, let me show you about the Trump phone.
This morning, you've got an announcement on a new phone. Tell me about that and what you're looking to, quote unquote, correct here.
Yeah. Well, Maria, more and more we're using technology as a company, right, to correct the problems. Obviously, Truth Social was to correct freedom of speech, right? I mean, he lost his throughout the political process. Obviously, crypto, and we got the biggest projects in crypto, was to correct another problem, which is the fact that they were debanking all conservatives. I was the most canceled person probably in the history of the country. And now we're doing Trump Mobile, and Trump Mobile is going to revolutionize cell phones, mobile calling. We're going to do it better. We're going to do it safer. We're going to have more functionality, more features. And the coolest thing about all these ventures is we're doing it right here in the United States. You're not calling up call centers in Bangladesh. You're not, you're doing it right out of St. Louis, Missouri, and you're going to have phones that are made right here in the United States of America, and it's going to be cheaper, $47 a month. You're going to have more international dialing for free, hundreds of countries, international dialing for free. It is the biggest bang for the buck, and we're really excited to get into the space. I mean, when you take kind of technology, obviously real estate's always been our bread and butter, but when you take the technology world between the social platforms, the actual hard devices, which is really what Trump Mobile is, and then kind of the true retail banking, CeFi, DeFi, worlds of cryptocurrency, which is no question where the world is going. I really believe we're going to have one of the great kind of tech platforms as part of the Trump organization of any company in the world, and I couldn't be more proud of Trump Mobile.
So what I found very interesting about that is a lot of people probably haven't thought about it, haven't realized that the Trump kids are still out there doing business. Still out there making it happen. Still putting the Trump name out there, despite all the nuts who thought they had stopped the Trump organization, and he just keeps coming. They just keep coming with ideas. And will it work? I don't know. I just commend them on the fact that they're taking an investment. They're doing exactly what I tell you to do. Start looking at different opportunities. They looked at an opportunity and like, wait a second. Everybody's tech support is over in Bangladesh. No, we don't want that. We're trying to advise people to create stuff here in America. Yeah, we do that. We're going to get a tax break on our own stuff. We're not stupid. And what something has there's a term in business called TAM. And what TAM is, let me just go off script here. TAM is something that any one of you looking to start a business, you need to know. A TAM means total addressable market. Best way I can phrase that is when I was looking at doing YouTube and I wanted to start a channel, I was doing the Miami Dolphins. And I realized after about 6 months, I'm like, hey man, I've kind of plateaued. And that's because the TAM, the total addressable market of Miami Dolphins fans, wasn't that big. You either lived in Miami or you had some sort of affection for the Miami Dolphins, but it was like this big. And I'm like, what could I do different that has a bigger TAM, total addressable market? Oh, Trump had like 80 million votes. Bam. Huge total addressable market. So they're looking at the same thing. What is a product I can bring to market based on our resources and our investment capacity that has a huge total addressable market? Oh, cell phones. That is a monstrous TAM. Everybody is walking around in some way, shape, or form with one of these. And this one happens to be from Samsung. It's an Android. Maybe you're sitting there with an iPhone. Both of those, well, iPhone's starting to move their production into the United States, but for the most part, they're foreign-made phones. And everyone's looking for that niche. And they're like, wait a second. How many people are making phones here in America? And they're like, this is something where we could basically go after the TAM, a large total addressable market. And it's a business model that you guys can begin looking at. Obviously, you're not going to have the investment capacity. Well, I'm not going to say obvious. You probably don't have the investment capital and resources to launch a cell phone company, but you still can look at TAM, even TAM in your local area. I don't know, I want to clean office floors, and I want to start an office cleaning venture. Okay, what's the size of the market in your specific area? Well, there's probably, 500,000 square feet of office space, and that might be a little bit too small. Well, within 20 miles, there's 3 million square feet of office space. That's a different story. How far are you willing to travel? I could go 20 miles to, if I had enough accounts. There you go. And so you start looking at these things, and that's what the Trump organization has done. People can scream. People can bitch. They can whine. They can say all these different things. But you know what? It's not like he's making funky paintings and then selling them for $500,000. It's an actual product. Could it go bust like Trump University? Absolutely it could. Big difference. Trump University was a name rights basis. They didn't really own it. They're actually going to create the phones. Could they make money? Well, I don't know what their investment's going to be. But based on a TAM, the total addressable market, it sure could make some good money. And then what's good money to them and what's good money to me or you might be different. But it's residual. How do you know it's residual? Because they're paying monthly. Somebody's paying $50 a month for however. I mean, God knows how much I paid here. I bought the phone, for $1,000? And now I pay with this phone, that phone, and the third phone here, and Robin's phone. We're probably paying altogether $400 a month in mobile carriage, yeah, it's worth it. And you have that forever. I mean, I pay $400 a month. I've had these phones and I keep replacing them. So probably that's $5,000 a year that I'm paying, AT&T. Think about that. And so he's going to be doing it at $48 a month, and that could make them a lot of money depending upon everything else that they have to do. I can't even imagine the infrastructure you need to put in place to not just make the phone. This is Samsung. Samsung isn't a carrier. My carrier is AT&T. They're going to make the phone, and I think they're going to provide the carriage. Huge undertaking. I mean, just monstrous undertaking. Let's listen to, do I have this? Hold on. As Don and Eric talk about it here, because you can't complain. They're trying. They're out there. They're trying to make money.
Great to have everyone back here on Trump Tower on this very fateful day, 10 years later. A lot has happened since then, and we're here to announce something pretty special. We've been working for a long time trying to deliver for the American people, for doing something unique for people who'd been underserved. And today we're here to introduce Trump Mobile. We've partnered with some of the greatest people in the industry to make sure that real Americans can get true value from their mobile carriers. A big part of what we've done right now in the world has been focused on technology for people who have been underserved, whether that's been in crypto or anything else. But one of the places where we felt there was lackluster performance was in the mobile industry. And so with Trump Mobile, we're going to be introducing an entire package of products that people can come, they can get telemedicine on their phone for one flat monthly fee, roadside assistance in their cars, unlimited texting to 100 countries around the world. And we've partnered with some of the best to really bring something unique to the American people. So,
well, thank you very much, everybody. And on behalf of Don and I, and really everybody in the Trump organization, we have a lot of our employees here today. We couldn't be more excited about this venture. This year has really been a year of technology. Don and I have spent so much of our time in that. We're building the greatest hotels on earth. We're building the greatest golf course on earth. But we're also spending a lot of time in the technology field. Everybody knows what we've done in crypto. I think we've got the greatest projects in crypto, and more our company is evolving into various sectors. And but there is kind of a key to that, and that is America, right? I mean, the fact that all your customer service will be done in America. It's going to be done in St. Louis, Missouri. I hope I was allowed to give that out. And making phones in America, it's about time we bring products back to our great country. And it's about time we disrupt this space. And between really the three gentlemen here, again, hundreds of years in the mobile space, they know the world better than anybody, and we couldn't be more excited about this partnership. So guys, to an extremely fun and successful venture, to one that's all American, based here in America with an American family. We're going to have a lot of fun doing this for years and years to come. So on behalf of myself, the Trump organization, Don, obviously, the entire family, thank you guys. We look forward to it, and some amazing things to come. There's a lot of things that we're not even mentioning on the stage right now, which we're going to be announcing in the next couple weeks and months, but couldn't be more excited to be doing this with you.
Fantastic. So when you think about that, what he just said, there are a couple things that I like to hone in on, even when I'm doing my own business stuff. Be a disruptor. Too many people just like to go along with things, instead of looking from the outside and going, what if I bust in here? What if I kick the front door in here and do something different? Would people like that? And it's funny because one of the biggest disruptors I can remember in my lifetime, Robin and I were in the pool yesterday having a great Father's Day. And one of the biggest disruptors, because she's got her cell phone by the pool and she's keying in music into the speaker. And I'm like, you still have these phones? I mean, you still have this music? And she's like, I still have every single song. What she's talking about is whenever it was, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago, whenever Napster came out, and Napster came on the scene, and those of you who don't remember, Napster came out, and we all just went nuts, downloading for free as many of the songs that we wanted to hear, songs we love, songs that, I mean, this phone, the second phone, has so many songs on it that came from Napster. Crazy from Napster. You guys who don't remember it, about 15 years ago, there was this program. They called it P2P, peer-to-peer. And with this peer-to-peer program, you could basically bypass record stores and bypass all kinds of stores and just download whatever list I had on a computer. So you could just search a song and like, boom, and you could download it. Even with the slower bandwidth back then, people went nuts. I remember sitting in an office with Robin, and she worked in our real estate office, and we had like 8 people, and like, I'm like, you guys got to stop me, actually do some work. They were just in there downloading songs. Napster completely disrupted the entirety of the music industry. Then they got sued, and people said, oh, you guys can't move around, trade your own songs. You can't, that's illegal. You bought the album. You have it, but you can't trade it. Interesting. And then a few years later, all of a sudden comes Spotify and Sirius and everything else. But those of us who were back during the Napster days remember being able to do it. It completely disrupted the industry. And you could probably go through your mind and think of industries that were disrupted. FedEx, UPS, disrupted the Postal Service to the point where the Postal Service can't even compete with the two of them anymore. How about, I don't know, Amazon started out as a bookstore and completely disrupted e-commerce. How about, let me think here, Airbnb/Vrbo completely disrupted the hotel industry. And then, of course, Uber completely disrupted taxis. Biggest taxi company in the world owns no taxis. Biggest hotel company in the world owns no hotels. And now there's a new upstart that started down, I don't know where he started, but we noticed it about a year ago. I'm like, what's this Instacart stuff? And I was just talking to Ashley about it this morning. Well, you can go on to your local grocery store. In our specific area, it's called Publix. And you can get the stuff that you want, the exact same product, and then they'll bring it to your house. I can't tell you the last time I've gone shopping in a grocery store. Maybe I went shopping in a grocery store. I can tell you, yes, I can. When my grandson came down, because none of the stuff he wants is on our list. You see, one of the things they have is an algorithm, an amazing algorithm. If I were to log on right now, I'd be ashamed, but if I logged on to Instacart and the button there goes buy again, it just brings in all the stuff that you have ordered before. You don't even shop. Yeah, I need 2 more of those. I need 1 of those. Yeah, I gotta have the cookies. Get the cookies. And you just do this, and do this. And then you go out and check out. You leave a credit card on file. And then all of a sudden, in about half an hour, they're dropping them off at your front door. I've done that while I've been on a show. While the video's playing, I'm like, let me go on Instacart right quick. Bam. And around, I'm like, did you order something? I'm like, yeah. Because the other thing is they have family shopping, which is she gets notifications if I'm going to do something. So she could also add an order too. Imagine putting an order together. Your husband's at work, you're home, and you just let him know in a text, hey, make it an Instacart order. And now you never go into the store again. You know how much time it takes to leave the house, go to the store, walk around, say hi to everybody, get back in the car, come back here, unload it. The only thing they can improve about it is just like, hey, for an extra $5, we'll even put it away in your house. Not that Robin would ever allow that, but you know, there's some guys out there who'd be like, $5? Yeah, I'll pay the extra $5. Put that stuff away. Long story short, that's disrupting. So the Trumps came back and they looked and went, we're pushing Make in America. What can we make in America that's probably not made in America? And I undoubtedly, somebody looked down and went, you got one? Yeah, you got one. You got one. You got one. You got one. And none of them are made in America? How much you paying? How much you paying? How much you paying? That's a business. It's that simple to disrupt something. So let me just show you this article. Appeared on CNBC. Trump Organization announces mobile plan and a $499 smartphone. So you get the plan and the phone. Again, this thing here is $1,000, probably more at this point. Trump Organization announces mobile plan, the plan itself, and the smartphone. The Trump Organization unveiled a mobile phone plan and a smartphone that is set to launch later this year. The new venture is the latest example of President Donald Trump's business empire capitalizing on its association with the sitting president. They had to put it in. They can't help themselves. The company's foray into telecommunications mainly comprises a licensing agreement. So those of you guys who have watched Shark Tank, those of you who have seen Kevin O'Leary talk, and he talks about licensing. I ain't got to do anything but put up the money. Okay, I want this much percentage. So licensing, again, isn't bad, but people don't want you to know about it. And there's President Trump. It says the Trump Organization unveiled a mobile phone plan and a $4.99 smartphone that is set to launch in September. The new service, Trump Mobile, will offer a $47.45. You caught that, right? Y'all catch that? A $47.45 per month plan. $47.45. Let that sink in. $47.45. That includes unlimited talk, text, and data, as well as roadside assistance and a telehealth and pharmacy benefit. Wow. The company owned by President Trump also announced it will sell a T1 smartphone, which appears to feature a gold-colored metal case etched with an American flag. And there's a picture of the phone. Only scary part about that is, hold on, let me just tell you. I have a Samsung, and it's black. And my other Samsung is black. If you're going to get a gold Trump phone, don't leave it on the table somewhere. These people may come up and try to smash it, so they better make it waterproof and damage-proof and everything else. The new venture is the latest example of Trump's business empire capitalizing on its association with the sitting president. What a crock of crap. All of us, me included, are capitalizing on the President of the United States and what he's doing. That is the stupidest thing I have ever heard. Well, it's the latest example of them capitalizing on association with the sitting president. If you're not capitalizing on his presidency, you're a flipping idiot. If you're not making money right now and capitalizing on what this man is doing, you're missing a boat. That's so stupid. Both the name of the wireless service, the 47 plan, and its monthly prices are references to Trump. A screenshot on the website of the upcoming phones displays Trump campaign slogan, "Make America Great Again." And so, I mean, it's a long article, as you can see, but suffice it to say, another way to generate money. And how can that possibly be wrong? It can't. It can't be wrong. Just to give you a quick update on the financial markets, the Dow is up 333, S&P is up 55, NASDAQ up 287. It says it's rallying because oil retreats as investors bet Israel-Iran conflict will be contained. Why? I'll let you know that a little bit later. So anyway, that's what's happening with the Trump phone. And I think, yeah, well, let me see what you guys have to say. Made in America, #1, exactly. Capitalizing, capitalist, I have no problem with that. Could you imagine an FJB phone? I'm all in on the Trump phone plan. Exactly. I mean, some people are probably locked in and saying, I can't do it, I can't afford it. I understand that. No one's telling you to buy something you can't afford or don't want. Hold on. Who's this? I wanted to see if this was SV or just another text because, let me look here. Okay. All right, so, not SV. They have the Obama phone for illegal. They have the Obama phone for the illegal, so what's the problem? There is no problem. There is no problem. You guys should actually look at what you want to. And also, President Trump is jumping in on that as well in terms of crypto. There's just so much in terms. Mark Zellhammer, who uses Instacart, he says shoppers are always good people. They're always good people. Robin's like, the only problem she has is she likes a lot of foo-foo stuff. And when there's guy shoppers, the guy shoppers never seem to find the foo-foo stuff she wants. So she gets really ticked off about that. All right, so I'm going to take a break. This is a new part of the show. New part of the show, meaning I'm going to take a break and go to the little boys' room, go grab something to drink, stretch, and in about 4 minutes, I'm going to come back with an interview with Congressman Brandon Gil. Really, really good interview. All right. Hopefully this doesn't turn people off. You guys can chill, but it's only like three and a half minutes.
Somewhere to be every night of the week. Seems God ain't close as he used to be. And there's more tequila in this old town than pines in Tennessee. I ain't the man I thought I'd be. And these neon lights that keep me up got me thinking maybe mom and dad had it right all along. We're too old to still be alone, and we ain't happy ever after all. I'm just saying it wouldn't be as bad as we made it out, living in our hometown. You find a girl and get married before you're 20. But I've been running like a southbound train, as fast as a northern summer, with no one to love. And it's making me wonder if maybe mom and dad had it right all along, and we're too old to still be alone, and we ain't happy ever after all. No, I'm just saying it wouldn't be as bad as we made it out, living in our hometown. Said if you got whiskey, don't overdrink it. If you find love, don't overthink it. Just find yourself a good one, and don't you let it go. That's what they told. Maybe mom and dad had it right all along, and we're too old to still be alone, and we ain't happy ever after all. No, I'm just saying it wouldn't be as bad as we made it out, staying in our hometown. Yeah, in our hometown.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so that wasn't bad, was it? Just a couple minutes. Allowed me to stretch, do a couple blood flowing exercises, run to the little boys' room, and get back in here. So I hope you guys didn't mind. Let's talk to Congressman Brandon Gil. Everybody, I've got a great rolling. Yeah, it's rolling. Hey, everybody, got a great interview with you. Everybody, I've got a great interview for you today. It's with Brandon Gil, Congress. Yes, there are bloopers sometimes, and I just wanted to keep that in this time, so you guys go, yeah, I may look perfect, I get it done all the time, but this time there was a blooper. I mean, Brandon Gil out of Texas's 26th district. Congressman Gil, thank you very much for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I know you're busy, especially with everything that's going on up in Washington, so I'm going to get right to it. Obviously, I did some research. You're the youngest Republican, and you were sworn in on January 3rd, 2025. But everywhere I look, I see Brandon Gil on another committee doing things. How did you hit the ground so fast, and why did you leave a successful career and decide to even run?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. So I did not expect to be running for office, certainly not right now. But my family and I live in Flower Mound, Texas. It's a beautiful community, very clean, low crime, good schools, everything that you would hope for to raise a family. We've got 2 young children and just had another one about a month ago.
Congratulations.
So life was going well. Thank you. Life was going well. I was running a conservative media business. Very, it was going very well, I should say. And what happened was that the sitting congressman at the time announced that he was resigning. It was Dr. Michael Burgess, had served this district for about 22 years by the time that he left, had served the district honorably. But what I wanted to make sure as we were thinking about this, like I said, it wasn't on our radar, but we wanted to make sure that Texas 26, which is a Republican district, had a conservative that was representing it. I think that there's been a problem sometimes with Washington not being quite as conservative as the rest of the country, and I wanted to make sure that didn't happen here. Texas 26 was looking for, I think, a fighter, somebody who would stand with the president and stand up for conservative values. So we jumped in the race really at kind of the last minute. Had about a 90-day primary, just over that. Got pretty heated towards the end, but was able to win without a runoff. Received 58% of the vote in an 11-way race. So pretty extraordinary there. So things went great. But my goal now in Congress is to do the things that I said I was going to do on the campaign trail. And that is to stand up for conservatives, to support the president, and to support his agenda. So I serve on 3 committees in Washington. I'm on the Budget Committee, the Judiciary Committee, and the Oversight Committee. And each one of those helps play a role in that process. And I'm happy to talk more about that as well.
Yeah, I had a number of different things I wanted to talk about, but I didn't know you're on those committees. So let's go first with obviously the one that is driving people crazy, the judiciary. These rogue judges out there are trying to slap down Trump every time they get the opportunity. And a lot of people in the media and a lot of people on the left keep saying Trump's losing. Obviously, he's not losing. They're getting these TROs to try and delay things. Is there anything you guys have planned that you can do about, these judges doing this insane restraining orders from a little court in Massachusetts to go completely nationwide?
Yeah, it's a major problem. What we are seeing from the judiciary, I believe, constitutes judicial tyranny. It is the courts usurping the president's core plenary Article 2 authority and making themselves either commander-in-chief of the military or foreign policy actors, which is something that is not within their constitutional prerogative. So earlier this year, I filed articles of impeachment against radical Judge Boasberg, who is a D.C. District Court judge who went so far as to demand that President Trump turn a plane full of Tren de Aragua terrorists around midair and deposit them back into the United States. These are people that President Trump was deporting, which, again, is something that he ran on. He said he was going to do. It's not a surprise that he's getting illegal alien terrorists out of our country. But this judge demanded he keep them in this country. I think that was wildly unconstitutional. So I filed articles of impeachment against him. But there are many things that we can do in Congress to push back against judicial tyranny. Not long after I filed those articles, we passed out of the House the No Rogue Rulings Act. which stops district court judges from issuing nationwide injunctions. I think that is a gross overstep of their authority. You've seen far more nationwide injunctions under President Trump than you have of any president in all of American history. So this is something that we're taking seriously, and we are pushing back against.
But that pushback only goes so far, because then the Senate has to also take it up. And so far, it doesn't look like they've taken it up, have they?
They haven't yet. That doesn't mean that they won't. I think they've had their heads buried in the reconciliation process, which is something else I'm sure we'll talk about as well. But just getting that out of the House, I do think sends a message to the judges that we are paying attention. You can't overstep your constitutional authority. But I do wish the Senate would take that up and get that passed.
You think they could get it passed?
I think that there's a possibility they could. As you know, we only have 53 Republicans in the Senate. You need 60 to pass a bill.
Right.
So it would be difficult to do realistically, but it is something that I think we should at least shoot for.
Now, if it can't get passed because you need 60 votes to get it done, would you and enough members in the House support President Trump doing something pretty strong, like either suspending habeas or pulling a pin and going full Andrew Jackson to get this thing cleared up?
We'd have to take a look at this on a case-by-case basis. I think the president was elected to do a specific job, and that was to put this country first, to secure our border, which he has done, to deport illegal aliens, which he is in the process of doing, to get our military back to its ready fighting force that it should be, to make it the most lethal force in the world, to get our economy back on track, to do all of these things that we talked about, bring common sense back to our country, get boys out of girls' sports, crazy things like that, that in my opinion, we shouldn't even be talking about. They're so crazy.
Yeah.
But we'll see where that goes.
Speaking of so crazy, not to jump, but in terms of what's going on with Israel and Iran, just early this morning, I don't know if you've had a chance to see it, Israel, I guess, has taken so much of a pounding. I mean, Iran has taken so much of a pounding from Israel. Now they're signaling, hey, listen, we're willing to talk. But the interesting part about that was we're interested to talk as long as the United States isn't involved. How is there even any talk of peace if we're not involved, at least coordinating at the table?
Well, I think the United States can play a role. That does not mean that we need military forces involved in this conflict. I don't think we should. I think Israel is doing a phenomenal job of protecting itself. You know, for so many years, Iran has been very clear that they believe that Israel and the United States are the great Satans. They've been pursuing nuclear weapons, and they have said pretty openly that they don't believe that Israel has the right to exist. They would love to bomb the United States. So it is in our interest to see Israel take out the nuclear facilities in Iran. So I'd like to see that process continue. I'd like to see, I hope that they are successful. It looks like they are right now. It looks like they've been very successful. And we will see where this process leads.
Now, did you notice that talking about America, sent over a bunch of airplane fuel tankers over to that region this morning, or last night rather?
I think we've been sending supplies. Israel is our closest ally in the region. They are the nation that is providing regional stability. They are the only real westernized nation in what I believe to be a sea of barbarism. And I do think that we should support them.
Great. So as a part of the budget committee and the reconciliation and the rescission, what's going on with all this fake money like USAID? Are you guys able to, excise that tumor and take it out of the budget?
So we passed a rescission bill last Friday, which claws back money for both NPR and PBS, which are propaganda outlets that promote all kinds of anti-American, anti-Christian propaganda, sow the seeds of racial division in this country, entities that should have never received taxpayer funding to begin with. But we also clawed back money from USAID. This is just a start. This is the first rescission bill, hopefully of many, that we will be able to pass and get out of the House and get to the Senate. Now, remember that rescissions process is separate from reconciliation. Reconciliation deals with mandatory spending. Rescissions deal with discretionary spending. So there's sort of two different separate buckets of government spending, but that is something we are working on. On the reconciliation side, the ball is in the Senate's court right now. I think they're going to get us a bill very quickly. As you know, we have a tight majority in the House, but we were still able to come to agreement and get the Senate a bill, which I think is very good. I hope they take that up quickly, but they're working through that right now.
Now, the rescission part of things, the reconciliation already went through the rescission. That needs 60 votes as well to pass, doesn't it?
The rescissions do not, and this is the key. So as you know, typically you need a simple majority in the House, over 50% of congressmen to get a bill out of the House. You need 60 in the Senate. Now, we only have 53 seats. We don't have the ability typically to get Democrats to vote with us, depending on what we're talking about. The beauty of both reconciliation and rescission bills is that they are privileged in the Senate, meaning you only need 50 votes in the Senate to get these bills passed. That's why we're doing it this way. So I think that we will absolutely be able to get these rescission bills through the Senate.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, the fact that you can get it through using the different manipulations of the rules the way they are, and that doesn't be a negative thing, but these people, when I say these people, the Democrats, they stay locked in. Are you going to get any Democrats you think that could cross over? Maybe Fetterman?
You know, I certainly hope so. I think that we have made the case exhaustively that, for instance, NPR and PBS have no business getting government funding. I've always said that if Fox News or Newsmax or conservative podcasts or any other conservative media outlet came to me and asked me for government money, for government handout, I would tell them no. Yeah. I'm certainly going to say no to NPR and PBS. But we have a vibrant media ecosystem right now. You can start a podcast. You can go on social media and develop a massive following. You can do all kinds of things. We don't need state-sponsored media in the United States, and that's what these entities are. They're state-sponsored media, just like you would expect to see in China or North Korea.
Oh, absolutely. Now, interesting, I went and I looked at a couple of videos, or actually a couple of hearings. I don't know how you can keep a straight face when you're talking to some people. When you were talking to the head of NPR, she blatantly lied to you, just like the other guy we're going to talk about. How does that even work with them coming to you, asking for money, lying to you? You're a businessman. You've never lied to an investor. It's essentially the same thing. They're coming to you. They're pleading their case. Give us money, but we're going to lie to you to get the money. How do you put up with that?
Well, you know, that NPR hearing was particularly interesting because they knew that the purpose of that hearing, which was held by the DOJ Subcommittee of Oversight, which I sit on, the purpose of that was to ask them questions about what they're doing with the money that we've been giving them. And they knew that we are looking at this as a potential source of waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government that we can claw back. This is something that Republicans have been talking about for a long time. So what I wanted to do was ask Catherine Marr, who is the CEO of NPR, about some of the radical, wild things that she had put on Twitter over the past several years, saying that she took a whole day off of work to read a book called The Case for Reparations. She claims she couldn't remember reading that. Well, I showed her the tweet where she said that she did. Talking about how we need reparations. She claims that she never said that we need reparations. I showed her the tweet where she explicitly called for race-based reparations. We went on and on and on of her either trying to deny or to downplay things that she has said very clearly and very publicly.
Do you believe that America is addicted to white supremacy?
I believe that I tweeted that, and as I've said earlier, I believe much of my thinking has evolved over the last half decade.
It has evolved. Why did you tweet that?
I don't recall the exact context, sir, so I wouldn't be able to say.
Okay. Do you believe that America believes in black plunder and white democracy?
I don't believe that, sir.
You tweeted that in reference to a book you were reading at the time, apparently, The Case for Reparations.
I don't think I've ever read that book, sir.
You tweeted about it. You said you took a day off to fully read the case for reparations. You put that on Twitter in January of 2020.
Apologies, I don't recall that I did.
Okay.
I'd no doubt that your tweet there is correct, but I don't recall that.
Okay.
So the purpose of those hearings there was to hold them to account for these things and to expose how crazy they are. Catherine Maher is a radical left-wing Marxist lunatic who has no business running any media outlet, in my opinion, much less one that is taxpayer funded.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, when the people at home watch these things and they know you're being lied to, and it's like we want to scream into the TV, "You're lying!" So you guys, I salute you for having so much decorum, and I hate the round robin thing. 5 minutes, 5 minutes, five. You don't really even get into something. It's like, okay, you're gonna BS your way through it, and so what ends up happening is, you just go ahead and do what you guys have to do. Then you got to sit in front of the governors, Tim Walz, J.B. Pritzker, and Kathy Hochul. And that looked like a complete, I don't want to say gaslighting. Did it come across to you as that even those governors didn't seem to, I didn't even feel they were lying. I felt like they didn't know what they were talking about. How did it come across to you?
That's exactly right. I think that what it is they know that they have policies in their states that shield illegal aliens from getting deported. And that's the purpose. They refuse to work with federal immigration law enforcement, with ICE. They refuse to honor immigration detainers. So if they arrest somebody for, let's just say, a petty crime, stealing something, and that person has an immigration detainer on them, instead of turning that person over to ICE to then be deported or to go through immigration proceedings, they'll just let them out on the streets. That's a problem. It makes our communities, our cities, our states less safe. And we've seen the consequences of that. Lake and Riley, for instance, Jocelyn Nungary. I mean, these are people who were murdered by illegal aliens who are let out onto our streets.
Yeah.
That's a problem. So we asked them about their sanctuary city policies, sanctuary state policies, I should say. I also asked Governor Pritzker about some of the crazy things he had put online, encouraging people to use the opposite gender's bathroom, for instance. He tweeted that as a protest against President Trump, everybody should use the opposite bathroom today. So I just asked him, you told everybody to use the opposite gender's bathroom. Have you ever used the woman's restroom?
Do you think men should be allowed in women's restrooms?
I'm not sure why this has come to this issue.
You tweeted that as a protest against President Trump, everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today. Have you ever used the women's restroom?
Not that I can recall ever, sir.
You wanted everybody else to do it, but you didn't?
Sir, I'm not sure why we're on a topic that has nothing to do with
you're advocating for men to use women's restrooms, but you didn't do it?
I do not advocate that, no.
Well, actually, you did. You said everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today.
I can tell you that you are politicizing this in a way that what we ought to be focusing on is
do you regret
encouraging
men to use women's restrooms
and the Congress to deal with immigration reform?
Do you regret encouraging men to use women's restrooms?
Again, you're taking us on topics that have.
Did you ever consider that women don't want you in their bathrooms?
Just simply state it. And I think that that's a totally fair question. That is a bizarre thing to put online. I certainly don't tell people to use the wrong bathroom. I don't use the women's restroom. You did. So, let's hear what you have to say about it.
And it seems like they don't know what is being out there, almost as if they've got aides that are putting this stuff out there and they don't even follow up to see. Could that be something that's going on, that they're, I don't want to call them puppets, but do they really not know what's being put out there behind their name?
It could be. I think more of what it is, both for Catherine Maher and for J.B. Pritzker, is that you've had a time period from kind of the mid-2010s, about 2014 to about 2022, where leftists just went totally off the deep end. Defund the police, defund ICE, open borders, reparations, boys and girls sports, boys and girls bathrooms. And there was no limit to how crazy they would get. And they realized that they could rile up their lunatic base by saying things like men should go into women's restrooms. Now, the pendulum has swung the other way. The American people saw that, and they said, this is crazy.
Right.
You are nuts for saying this stuff, and we don't agree with you. So now they're trying to backtrack from all of these wild things that they had been promoting for so many years, and it's a wonderful thing to see. You know, whenever you're faced with your past comments telling men to go into women's restrooms, where there could be other women, there could be underage girls in those bathrooms. It's typically not something that you want to see come out, but I think that it's important that we hold these people to account.
Now, since you've only been here since January, I mean, basically you came in when Trump came in. Do you think this ideology and the nut stuff that they put out there is something of a fad that they're being told that it obviously doesn't work? Trump won in a landslide. They're seeing people go crazy. We just saw these riots, and they're thinking it really means something. It really doesn't mean anything. Why would you jeopardize your community, your economies, everything over an 80-20 issue that you're on the 20 side?
Well, take immigration, for instance. I think that Democrats for many years have made the bet that they can flood our country with illegal aliens that electorally benefit Democrats at the expense of Republicans. And that comes in two forms. One of those is congressional apportionment. So every 10 years we have a census, and that census determines which states have how many congressional districts. Well, they make that determination not based on the number of citizens in each state, but the number of people. So if you have a lot of illegal aliens in your country, you're going to get greater congressional representation in Washington. And you see that in California, for instance, where you see people flooding out of California. Nobody wants to live under Gavin Newsom's regime of high tax, high regulations, insane social policies. But as Americans are leaving California, they're allowing illegal aliens to come in there and take their place. And estimates have shown that has given them possibly as many as 3 or 4 additional congressional seats that tend to go Democrat. So I think that's one reason. The second reason is Democrats have long said that their goal of illegal immigration is to provide a pathway to citizenship, which means voting rights and amnesty. Those people, they have long bet, will be perpetual future Democrat voters. And these are not my words.
Right.
This is the Democrat playbook. They've articulated it many times, written books about it. This is something that has been out there for quite some time. Now, I wonder now, given the direction the Hispanic Americans are going, where they don't like wokeness, they actually don't like open borders, they don't like almost anything the Democrats are pushing, whether that bet is going to pay off the way they hoped it would, but that has been the bet they've been making. So I think that though it is a cynical ploy to create an electoral system that is more favorable to them than it is to us. And if the American citizens are collateral damage in the form of crime or depressed wages, then Democrats seem to believe so be it.
Well, one of the things with your oversight and budgetary committees, I think the thing that will damage them, if you guys can get it done, is to take the money away. If they can't give them free, insurance and free this and free that and EBT cards and housing, if they can't give them that kind of money, what's their alternative at that point? These people are just standing around becoming, problems on the street.
Yes, so I think that we should not be giving federal funds to sanctuary cities or sanctuary states.
Right.
One of the things in the big, beautiful bill that we did is we clawed back Medicaid coverage for illegal aliens. We said we're not going to pay for it. That's the kind of policy that I think can make a significant difference to show these states that if you're going to enact these crazy policies, which I think are of dubious legality to begin with, we're not going to subsidize it.
Well, that's the way to go. I know you've got a bolt. One thing I do want to make sure I say to you, with everything crazy that just happened in Minnesota and people having hit lists, please be careful up there. They're raising the fever in these people, and they seem to be absolutely nuts at this point. So you and your associates up in Washington, please be careful. And thank you for coming on today in the midst of all this.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. All right. So that was Congressman Brandon Gil. Phenomenal. It was so good to talk to him. It's refreshing. I noticed this by Elaine. She put something up. Let me post this. Elaine says, so refreshing. We need 100 more in the House and the Senate. You know why it was so refreshing? I don't know if you caught the very beginning of the interview, but why he was, in my mind, why he was so refreshing is because he just got sworn in January. He hasn't had the effect of the snakes and vermin up there running all around him and everything. So he's been up there. He had a conservative business beforehand. Here's a little footnote. He's Dinesh Sousa's son-in-law. Dinesh Sousa, who made the movie 2,000 Mules and has been put in jail and done everything because of his conservative outlook and perspective. That's his son-in-law. He married Dinesh's daughter. So the guy's been through a lot of it. Excuse me. I heard that a bunch of times. People say he looks like Superman. Yeah, he does. I saw a 75-year-old woman crying, saying why would she vote for that guy? I'm scared what's going to happen. Yep, I'm going to talk about. We talked about her yesterday, but we'll talk about her again tonight. But yeah, so true. You're right. It was refreshing. Ashley, thanks for the interview. She's so good. She's so good in terms of getting these people out. All right. So, what I'm gonna do now is basically checking my clock and my time here. I know what I have to do. I've got to do a read for chapter. Those of you who are approaching 65 or who are 65, most of us think Medicare is something to deal with someday. That's how I personally felt until recently. I'm turning 65 soon, and the moment you hit that number, it begins. The mailers, the robocalls, the TV ads with actors you barely remember, or athletes. Down here, Joe Namath is all over Medicare stuff. None of it made any sense to me, and none of it made any sense to Robin. And worse, if you make a mistake and you miss your Medicare enrollment deadline, the government makes you pay penalties for life. This is why I'm so glad I found Chapter. They're the real deal. Fully independent, completely honest, and most importantly, they make Medicare simple. They just did a raise. They just raised $75 million. I saw that on CNBC. Chapter is the only national Medicare advisor that searches every Medicare plan to find the one that's right for you, saving you money and hassle. In a simple 30-minute phone call, Chapter has saved the average Medicare enrollee $1,100. No pressure, no nonsense, just clear, unbiased guidance and completely free for the Fanfare audience. Just one phone call. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. It's 100% free to give them a call and see if they can help you. So if you're turning 65 or even if you're over 65, don't take chances with your health or your wallet. Call the number on the screen below and talk with Chapter today. Again, it is 100% free. So you can't really go wrong with that, can you? Give them a call. They'll educate you, talk to you about some things. All right, so here where are we going right now? What do I have coming up next here? What did I want to talk to you about next? Okay. We got this idiot in California. This was very telling. Karen Bass said the quiet part out loud. And not a whole lot of people noticed. So you had to really pay attention to what she says here, because just like Brandon Gil just said, and by the way, Brandon Gil, by telling me and telling you what the objective is with these Democrats, it's to cultivate, like it's some sort of breeding farm, to get as many illegals as possible into the country and turn them into Democrat voters. But I also believe what he said too, is that they kind of backfired on them. A lot of people who are from Mexico, well, they're Catholic. They're family people. They run, even though they're not from here, they run, they're used to strict familial roles. The woman, the man, they don't like the other stuff with the Pride Month. That's not a big favor. So I think they made a big boo-boo. And that's why I think they don't care about the criminals, because they're like, wait a second, we made a big mistake. So I want you to listen to what Karen Bass says here, because she indeed does let the cat out of the proverbial bag.
Officials say more than 20,000 demonstrators took to the streets in LA yesterday as part of the nationwide No Kings protests, which were largely peaceful. There was a pocket of unrest outside the federal building. How violent did things get in reality last night in your town?
Well, yes, and I appreciate you pointing that out, because this is a small sliver of our town. There were a lot of people out, about 30,000. I will tell you that out of that big crowd, 5 people were arrested. About 30.
I want to stop there first and foremost. The city of Los Angeles. I don't know how many people live in Los Angeles, but you're telling me the metropolitan area of Los Angeles, you had 30,000 people show up, and that's supposedly big? There's more people at a baseball game. I'm pretty sure there's more people at the Dodgers game. There's more people at the Los Angeles Angels game. What are you talking about? This wasn't successful. You drew in all these nuts, and you only had 30,000 people show up? This is what we're talking about?
Given citations, and there were injuries on both sides. Officers were injured, and so were people that were there. But, you know...
All right, so the reason why you see the foggy-looking image is because the people here don't like seeing violence. They get mad if they see people, like, doing bad things. So a couple of times as she's talking, you're going to see that cloud show up, because I have to cover up, the mostly peaceful protesters.
I think that, one, if the raids hadn't happened, then that protest would have been a No Kings protest. We know that that was planned months in advance. But the disruption and the fear that has been caused by the raids has really had a devastating effect and has been a body blow to our economy. I don't think the president understands that we have entire sectors of our economy that cannot function without immigrant labor.
Did you catch that? She said 2 things at the end there that you might want to. Let's listen to that again, because what did you just say, Karen? What did you say? Okay, listen again.
Economy. I don't think the president understands that we have entire sectors of our economy that cannot function without immigrant labor.
We have entire sections of our economy that can't function without illegals. You got a problem. You just told the world that your entire economy, or many sections of your economy, can't function. Not may lose money. They can't even function. So what you're telling the world, and you went on CNN and vomited that, is that many of the people who have businesses in Los Angeles can't even exist as businesses if they don't have newcomers working there. Let that sink in. So, in other words, you've lost control of your entire city. You can't function by hiring regular people. You're okay with that. And then the other thing she said, I didn't back all the way up for it, is if there were no ICE raids, none of this would be happening. And now there's all kinds of fear throughout the city. Has she taken a poll as to who's afraid? I'm not afraid. You're not afraid. The only people who are afraid are the ones who may fall into that category. That, and of course, the business owners in Los Angeles who can't afford to have a business without using newcomers. This is the Democrat Party. They are now okay telling the world, yeah, we can't work. We can't even have a business without these people. Seriously? And you're a mayor? You're the mayor of one of the biggest cities in the country, and you're now telling us you can't have an economy that prospers without breaking the law. Let's just say it directly as it is. We can't function without breaking the law. I don't know how you feel about that, But to me, it just tells me you're a failed state, you're a failed city, you're horrible as a mayor, and this is what you have to say. I can't make it work.
But the real solution of all of this is for the administration to stop the raids. We have heard that
the only real solution we have to any of this is not for people to have any personal accountability. Oh no, these people, they can't stop themselves. You know, they're not from here, and they're afraid, and their businesses can't function because their businesses shouldn't function, and the only way it can go back to normal, is if we stop enforcing the law. Okay, is that what you really want to tell the world right now? That you basically have a criminal colony? That's it? That's what Los Angeles has been reduced to? A criminal colony.
these raids might take place for the next 30 days. We don't know how many.
Hey, guess what? They're going to continue. I don't know if she read President Trump's, post, but get them all out.
Are going to take place in a given day, and you just think about the disruption to families and the disruption to our local economy.
I don't think she thought this out. I really don't think she thought this out by going on TV and going, just think about the disruption to families and the local economy. Now, I have to believe there are people in California, sane people. I spoke to Chris Moritz last week. The sane people in California like, is it really that far gone? Yeah. Your state can't sustain itself, or at least Los Angeles, without having newcomers. Wow. Well, one person noticed, and this one person is pissed.
Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear they're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. Whether it's sheer incompetence or outright malevolence, the reality is stark. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office? How much more of their destructive decision-making masquerading as leadership are we going to tolerate? It's time to take back our community and our state and put the power and the privilege in the hands of competent leaders whose goals are to protect us and the way of life this nation was founded upon and promises to offer. That's all.
In case you didn't recognize him, as he's aged a little bit, still has those steel blue eyes, that's Mel Gibson. So, in the last couple of days, I played you a video by John Voight. I played a video by Mel Gibson. And I'm starting to wonder if we're going to see a bubbling from celebrities, from the money, to say, enough of this stuff. We're done. We can't survive as a state. Beautiful state out here on the ocean. You've completely done your best to ruin it. And of course, it's a huge state, so people up north in, Napa Valley, they probably don't see it. But I just talked to Chris Moritz, who's in Malibu, and they see it. Malibu is right next to L.A. There's parts of town you can't drive in. And now we're finding out there's parts, of their economy that cannot exist anymore because of what they've done. But even that might be a lie. Let me show you something. This popped up today. It's two different articles, one by NBC News and one by the New York Post. One says, how a city in Nebraska is recovering after the state's largest worksite immigration raid. And I'll make it big so you guys can see it. And it says, every seat in the waiting area of Glen Valley Foods was occupied with people looking to fill the jobs. Think about that. You're telling people that your economy can't exist without these newcomers. Yet, when people realize at this point we're going to have to hire regular people, they can't get enough seats. Again, every seat in the waiting area of Glen Valley Foods was occupied with people filling out job applications early Thursday afternoon, 2 days after the meat packing plant became the center of the largest worksite immigration raid in the state. And so what happens is, oh, I'm sorry, did all those people just get arrested? Yeah, no worries. Here come the people of Nebraska going, hey, I'll take a job. Oh, so you can hire Americans when you have to, when you've been exposed, when your business can't exist because you've been paying these wages to newcomers. And now you have to pay Americans and you have to fill these jobs. Otherwise, your business is toast. They're available. Again, not one, not two. Every seat in the waiting room at Glen Valley Foods was occupied with people filling out job applications. Every single seat. So Mayor Bass, maybe you're not aware. Maybe you don't know that people are willing to work in these factories. The second story. Nearly 1 million newcomers have self-deported under Trump, which has led to what? Oh, no, higher wages. Let that sink in. On the left there, you've got a city in Nebraska that had the biggest workplace raid ever, and all these people got cleared out. The local people, seeing that all these people got cleared out, said, I'll take that job. And then on the right, you have the New York Post writing, since most of these people have self-deported, wages have gone up. You think those are kind of correlative? You think they're kind of related? Yeah, they're related. They're absolutely related. So when Mayor Bass got out there and went on television crying and whining about the fact that our economy out here is completely reliant, it won't even exist without newcomers, she's lying. There's people in Los Angeles, probably in Malibu, probably in areas, Huntington Beach, all around there, Venice Beach, who are like, yeah, we'll take the job. You sure got a whole lot of homeless people out there. Might want to clean them up and put them to work. It's a cop-out. The Democrats are lying. They continue to lie. And now they're in big trouble because what happens when, and is happening, the money gets turned off. When that spigot just goes like that. No more. You're not getting it. You're not getting a dime. Let me show you something that came out today. Here's one. What are they going to do when this happens? Just in, Sean Duffy says sanctuary states will not get 1 red cent from the federal government to repair the infrastructure damage caused by the rioters. This comes after rioters were seen destroying roadways and using the concrete to throw at officers. In addition, he's threatening to withhold all funding from rogue state actors who refuse to cooperate with ICE. Yeah, and so here are these guys just breaking up stuff. Just breaking up stuff so that they can have projectiles to throw all over the place. And the government's like, well, guess what? You're losing your money. We're not going to pay you for this. What's California going to do? Stephen Miller responded to what Gavin Newsom said. After Trump said that big post about get them all out, Newsom comes up and says his plan is clear. Incite violence and chaos in blue states. How is he inciting chaos and violence? There's nothing in Trump's post, which I read to you, that says, hey, you guys should all go out there and break stuff. Nope. He said you got to leave. Have excuse to militarize our city, demonize his opponents, keep breaking the law, and consolidate power. It's illegal and we will not let it stand. So now you're worried about illegality? How about all the people running around doing this stuff? Notice, Democrats never advocate for personal accountability. This is the governor of the state saying that the plan is clear. It's inciting violence and chaos. There's nothing that Trump said in that post that should cause a person to get out there and throw stuff or burn stuff. How is it? I would love to talk to Gavin Newsom. How is it inciting someone to leave their couch and do something? It'd be very simple for the people who you're trying to actually incite to tell them, stay your asses home, leave, do whatever. Your job is to protect people. Your job is to make sure people feel safe. And that's not what you're doing. You're telling them, all right, guys, you see what he said? You got to get out there some more. Yeah, it's chaos. No, it's order. It's actually telling people you need to do the right thing. You're not supposed to be here. I'm the governor of the state of which you broke the law coming here. I need to help you to, get out. That's not what he's saying. The Democrats are desperate. And then Stephen Miller actually responded to that by saying, you run a sanctuary state that illegally harbors foreign terrorists and willfully perpetuates a criminal invasion of the United States. The government of California does not recognize but willfully and maliciously abrogates the supremacy of federal and constitutional law. Well said. Big mouthful, but shut up is what he said. Shut up. You're advocating illegality. Period. No other way to say it. All right, so let me take a few comments. What do we got here? Pritzker counted that, hence raised our taxes on everything to get his funding to continue supporting them. Absolutely. Somebody told Ashley to get Mel Gibson. She might get him, BLS. Don't challenge her. You are the best production that I've ever seen. Oh, now you done challenge her. Now she got to call Mel Gibson, and I know just how to get in touch with him. Beth, I'm convinced he's possessed, so I can reach out, but I won't listen to him. I don't know who she's talking about. Lefty lunatics, yes, crazy, absolutely crazy. Oh yeah, Barry, I actually posted that. I can show it tonight when I jump over at Rumble. I saw 2 people get run over. I'm pretty sure it didn't make it. It was self-defense, but I don't think it was in Florida. I hope those 2 drivers will not be punished. I also saw one in California. Guy just said, sorry, I got to get home. You're roadkill. That's what's going to come down to. I hope you're all ready for this. What we're probably about to see, in no uncertain terms, especially if Gavin Newsom's going to fan more flames. If he's going to fan more flames, we may be looking at Mad Max real soon. Pretty cool that, it was Mel Gibson was in Mad Max, so it kind of fits. But people aren't going to take it anymore. You are not going to stand up in front of me. Especially, I've watched people throw concrete on the cars. I've watched them break out windows. I've watched them not let women get home with their babies in the car. Sorry, not going to happen. Boof, taking you out. Not going to stop. I am not going to let this happen. It can't happen. And now you've got, of course, Florida. Florida's like, just go ahead and do what you got to do. Which is going to cause more violence. Because these people have no concept of self-control. Nothing. They have nothing at getting self-control. Yeah, Steve Hilton would be great too. I'd love to talk to him. We need to stand behind the drivers who took steps in their own hands for that stupid stuff. I completely agree with you because everybody deserves the right to come home. You do not have the right to stop me or impede me. And then, of course, surround my car and bang on the hood. Who's going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for the dents on the hood? Who's going to pay for the broken windows? Who's going to help my children who are screaming in the back seat like, what in the hell is all this? Oh, it's just Los Angeles or Seattle or Portland. Put a wall around these cities. I'm done with it. And what happens is she's talking to you about the economy and how they can't, certain parts of the economy, certain sectors can't function without newcomers working there. And so what you're going to see is a continue, and if they're going to just make it keep going this way, I don't know what these people in Los Angeles are going to do. At some point, it's like, well, listen, I understand you had a good cause, but get the hell out of my way. It's absolutely crazy at this point. Absolutely crazy. All right, so that being said, what are you doing? With everything that's going on in Israel and Iran, I just wanted to show you this too. Those of you guys heard earlier that Iran said they'll come to the table and they'll talk. And they want to talk about peace. Good job. So they want to talk about peace, but you always have to have, just like with anything else, business deal, you got to have two people to tango. Well, if this is right, Iran might want to bend over and kiss their butts. Look at this. Just in, Netanyahu says he's, quote, not interested in peace talks with Iran. He's also refusing to ruling out Supreme Leader, whacking Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei. This comes after news regime is asking to come back to the negotiating table. Nope. You had your shot. We gave you 60 days. President Trump told you if you don't do something in 60 days, all bets are off. And now they're hammering. There's another video I can't show here. Of course I can't show here. I'll show tonight, but they were doing something on Iranian television. And while they were talking on Iranian television, they blew up the television station. Ladies, whoa, yeah, that's a great video, but I can't show it. I'm looking at different things that Ashley and SV are sending me. Look at this stuff here. What is this? Israel signals that Khamenei is the final target in this video. The IDF just released a chilling video. A lone king piece stands at a chessboard with every other piece wiped out. The subtext is subtle. In Persian culture, the king isn't just symbolic, it's a direct nod to Ayatollah. The caption, only the king is left, but for how long? Earlier today, reports claimed that Trump stopped Netanyahu from taking out Ayatollah, and a short time later, 2 Qatari fighter jets escorted a plane from Iran. That may have been him fleeing the country. The video, however, is a clear message from Israel. Khamenei is now seen as the final piece on the board. The move is especially pointed given glass was invented in Persia and Israel is now using it as psychological warfare. I can show this because it doesn't look like anything, violent. It's just showing one piece left on the board. The king piece. Yeah. So, things are about to get crazy, no doubt. Crazier. They're hunting this guy down like prey in the woods. Iran is probably this close from falling completely. If there's no government there, if the Ayatollah has taken off, then there is no government. And so I think what Netanyahu's saying, why am I talking to you? There's nothing to talk about. Who am I going to talk to? Everybody's dead. You're going to bring the Ayatollah back in here? Who is it that we're going to be negotiating with? And why would I negotiate at this point when if I can confirm what I think is real, we could pretty much roll in and take over? Is probably what Netanyahu's thinking. And he's probably going to tell Trump that, I think we own this thing, man. Really? We own it? Let's go ahead and let's divide this. You take this much, we'll take that much. Which is really going to throw the markets. I mean, let's see. Let me see what's going on. Because this happened while we're here. I'd love to see what's going on in the markets right now. 266, still up. So people are eased with the Iranian conflict. And let me also check this as well. This is very interesting world stuff happening. All right, so that being said, if oil and different things are all kinds of flux in the market right now, one of the things you may be wondering and asking yourself is, how does this affect me long term? How do I make sure that I am protected? And as I've told you many a times, these two things can really be a hedge. Not so much an investment, but more of a hedge, making sure that if things do go crazy, which they may, you're protected. So I had Kevin Demerit here from Lear Capital, and we had a great conversation, and I like to show this to you guys right now.
Itself wasn't going to be as high. Hey
everybody, I've got Kevin Demerit back again from Lear Capital, here to answer some more questions in regards to what's going on in the metals market, specifically gold and silver. Kevin, thanks for coming back on again. I know you're very, very busy, so I greatly appreciate everything that you do here for the channel and for your information that you're able to give people.
Oh, thanks for having me, Barry. It's always a pleasure being on the show. I love this show.
So thank you. So keep it light, the first question. Are we ever going to find out about the gold in Fort Knox, or is that just like a unicorn that's just out there? It was said once, and it's never going to find the answer to that?
Yeah, a few people along the way have said that they're going to audit this place, and the last one that was conducted, I think, was 70 years ago. They've done some internal checks, they've done some photo ops over there, but they've never really had the transparency that I think the American public deserves, especially in a time when trust in institutions are so low. So I think it would be a great idea, but until we have a complete independent audit, these questions are going to keep lingering. So I think the important question that no one is asking is, has this gold been lent out, as well as if the gold is there? Because I don't think what people are understanding is that you just don't walk into Fort Knox and you start counting up gold bars and you do an assay and make sure they're the quality and all that kind of good stuff. A lot of these central banks, matter of fact, almost all central banks lend out the gold to gold mining companies that will pull gold out of the ground at some time in the future. They'll lend it out to jewelry manufacturers and so on and so forth. And if they've lent out the gold and there isn't enough gold in the market to actually give it back, when I say that, it means when gold's going up like this and I lent it out at 2,000 and you need to get it back to me and it's 3,300, do you have the capability of doing it? In Great Britain, just to give people a reference on this, you go back to the year 2001, Great Britain sold half of their gold reserves. It was 2,000 metric tons, and they sold it at $260 an ounce. Couldn't have been the worst, more stupid time to sell gold. But why did they do it? They did it because they lent out the gold. They couldn't get the gold back, and so they said, fine, we'll take money instead of the gold, and they got $260 an ounce at the time. So the gold wasn't there to actually get and put back into their central bank. So that's where I'm curious. It's not just the gold that's sitting in Fort Knox. Is it, hey, look, we've lent out a bunch of gold. Can we even get it back? And is it going to be in the actual physical metal itself? So what Fort Knox represents to me, and I know you wanted to make this one short, and I've just made it incredibly long, but what Fort Knox represents to me is more than just bars of metal. It symbolizes, this faith in the dollar and the solvency of the nation. If that gold is replaced by fiat currency, just more paper currency, I think it sends a real signal to the public and to the world that America's willing to deplete its hard assets, its hard asset gold, in settle obligations in depreciating paper. And I think it's going to send a little bit of a ripple effect through, the economy and the faith in the U.S. dollar. And maybe that's why we're not doing it, because there's no good reason not to do it.
I don't doubt at all that maybe it was before Biden, but definitely I would see Biden do it after what he did to the oil reserves and how they dumped that. So I wouldn't put it past them whatsoever. So right here and now, I see the markets, especially the S&P, they're making strong gains. How does that affect the gold and silver markets?
That's a great question. When the S&P is running hot, like we're seeing it, or it's volatile, but it's running fairly high. The short-term perception, in my opinion, is investors don't need a safe haven asset like gold or silver. So, demand is fairly strong, but not as strong as you would tend to see it with gold and silver moving to new highs. But you look at these valuations from a historical perspective, and they're just at unbelievable levels. You look at the way Warren Buffett looks at the stock market, completely overvalued. And at the same time, we have inflation still above the target. The debt in the United States is still higher than most people want. I mean, you had even, Elon Musk getting a little perturbed over the budget. You have geopolitical risks that are rising. So what happens most of the time, or all the time that I've ever been around, is reality catches up with Wall Street. And that's when gold and silver are really starting to shine. I mean, they're not doing too bad of a job right now, but I think the markets have become very euphoric, believing that, maybe the budget deficit wasn't going to be as high, or the budget itself wasn't going to be as high. And at some point, I think reality and gravity starts to take place with the S&P, and we get back to reasonable levels. And that would take a 35% correction, which is historically typical.
When I first started talking to you guys, I remember the very first interview we did. And since that time, I don't know if you've even checked it, go back historically, gold is up nearly 40% and silver's up nearly 26% just in that period of time. And when I was talking about gold, and I talked to Robin about gold and silver, it was supposed to be a hedge. But if something has grown that much in value, 40% over the last year, has gold moved from being a hedge and a protection asset to actually becoming speculative?
Look, there's a 92% correlation between debt in the United States and the price of gold. So gold had to play catch up with the debt, and the problem is debt is growing faster than, from 2008 to where we are today, the debt has grown faster than the price of gold. We were at $8 trillion and we're at $37 trillion. So the price of gold hasn't gone up quite that fast. So it still has a lot of catch up to do, and I would say that it would be speculative. But what is speculation when you have another 2.7 trillion that will probably add to the deficit here? Plus, that does not include the $1 trillion in interest payments. So when you add up all of that and you look at where the price of gold should be, that's why some of the large institutions out there are starting to say, you know what, the gold price is probably $3,700 to $4,200, and you have somebody like Goldman Sachs saying it could be $4,400 to $4,500 an ounce. Gold isn't overvalued; it's the value of the currency that's causing gold to go up. There is no overvalued gold, really. I mean, it's how many dollars are chasing this alternative to the dollar. And if you put an increased demand on a fixed supply, the price of gold is going to go higher. But if you looked at it the different way and you said, if we were still on the gold standard and you needed to back some small portion of the US dollar with gold like we had prior to 1974, where would the price of gold be? The price of gold would be somewhere around $17,000 an ounce. Okay, so is it overvalued today? No. If we were back on that standard, it'd be $17,000. Today, it's $3,300. Where should it be? Probably $4,200 to $4,400 is a pretty good guess.
Wow. So the layperson sitting back and watching what's going on in the market and what Trump's talking about and all the different things worldwide, the thing that triggers gold the most is that we can look at from an inexperience is the debt, and that is the thing that's going to help us determine where it's going.
That's 100%. I mean,
wow.
Look, we put a couple of new special reports. Not that I'm trying to get a tag here, but we have this, bankrupting America with this debt, and it's not today we're bankrupt. We've been bankrupting this country for quite some time, wow. And there is a strong correlation. The strongest correlation you can find with gold prices is U.S. debt.
Okay.
92%. So if you just look over time, we have a chart in here. You just look over time. I can tell you when you should have bought, and I can tell you when you probably shouldn't have purchased any more gold, based on where the debt is to the price of gold. But who's purchasing the most gold in the world right now? It's all the central banks around the world. Central banks all around the world have been buying gold at record levels for the past 3 years. This will be the fourth year. So they're diversifying out of U.S. dollars and looking for long-term stores of value because they see what's coming. The U.S. is adding just $1 trillion in new debt every 100 days. And that's, again, not counting the $1 trillion in interest service that we have. That's unsustainable. Everybody knows it. And so the central banks, the people that understand the gold the most, because that's what used to back everybody's dollars, are purchasing more and more of it and getting away from paper assets. That should give you the strongest indication of where governments think their currency's going and where gold should be.
How do you see the tariffs right now that President Trump is working with different countries affecting the gold and silver markets?
Well, you know, on one hand, you have this on and off again tariff talk that isn't calming anybody's nerves at all. I think it's causing more, volatility in the markets. It gives you kind of a sense that we're going to play this game that we should be playing, which is, hey, look, we're these other countries have put tariffs on us, but we haven't put tariffs on them. Mm-hmm. And it would be much better to kind of stick with a plan, in my opinion. Okay. So there's going to be some short-term figuring out. I can understand that. There's going to be negotiations. They probably last longer than anybody expected, so maybe we have to renegotiate a little bit. Mm-hmm. But longer term, tariffs do cause some sort of inflation. Okay. That's just a fact. It doesn't matter what country has implemented tariffs, they have always caused inflation. How much inflation is the question that we're looking for. So how big are these tariffs going to be, and how much inflation can we calculate that may cause? And if I had to guess, that's also causing the Federal Reserve to not lower the interest rates, because we need to figure out what's happening with tariffs and how much inflation that's going to cause before we start lowering the interest rates.
Well, that was my next question. With the Federal Reserve not lowering the interest rates and keeping them up despite lower unemployment and different CPI going down, how is that going to affect the metals market short and long term?
Well, a lot of investors, I think, expected these rate cuts in 2025, and the Fed has kind of held off. And so on the surface, that might seem like it's bearish for gold and silver, since higher rates usually mean, a stronger dollar, which absolutely hasn't happened. It's the opposite of that. The dollars continue to fall. But I really think, Barry, the Fed is kind of caught in this corner. They can't raise rates too much without triggering a recession, because the economy's not strong enough to take higher interest rates or even higher debt interest payments, and they can't cut too soon without the fear of fueling more inflation again, especially with the wild card being these tariffs that we don't know how much inflation they're going to cause. So that uncertainty, along with our massive $1 trillion in interest payments on our national debt, is bullish for metals, and that's why the central banks are buying. So when the rate cut happens, in my personal opinion, that's going to be more positive for the precious metals, because lower interest rates are usually better for metals than higher interest rates, which pushes up the value of the dollar. So I would love it if they would lower interest rates for people's mortgages and loan payments and credit card, all those kinds of good things, and it would be great for the precious metals market. So I can't wait for it to happen. But I think he's caught in this conundrum of, what do I really do, because we don't know what's happening with tariffs at this particular point.
Speaking of not knowing what's happening, we could wake up tomorrow or Monday and Israel drops a bomb on Iran, or vice versa. Should something like that spark over in the Middle East, what would that do to the metals markets?
I think people have become accustomed to these wars being planned out more. So we're going to bomb you, but we're going to call you beforehand. You get everybody out of there, which is probably a good idea. And then we're going to blow up one of your somethings. You're going to retaliate. Nothing's really going to happen. So I would say if that happens, not too much. But if it's more of a surprise, and it doesn't seem like it, otherwise you and I wouldn't be speaking about it, and they wouldn't be moving people around and having news about it.
Right.
And it lasts longer than people believe, like the Ukraine war.
Right.
Then you have a problem. I think you get a knee-jerk reaction out of it, but I don't think it goes very far unless it turns into something probably none of us want to happen.
Now, I mean, essentially, if that happens over with Israel and Iran, as you mentioned, Ukraine and Russia is still going on. Now you have two big conflicts happening, and as you said, not knowing how other people are going to react. They may react differently with Israel and Iran, because we would have to get involved. does that do anything? Does that amplify pricing or the impact of availability? Should we be on one of these fronts?
Oh, sure. When the Ukraine war started, gold and silver started going up. But again, with the Ukraine war, we kind of thought it was going to happen. We weren't really sure. And then it all started. We thought it was going to be over in 100 days. That wasn't the case. Everybody got involved. And then the precious metals market has reacted and continues to react to some portion of that. So again, I think the initial knee-jerk reaction will be gold and silver going up.
Okay.
Then it will be, okay, was this all planned out? And did we blow up a few things to make a point and we got our way? Or, hey, we're not getting our way, and this thing's going to turn out to be completely different than we thought, like the Iraq war and some of those. Then you have a different situation, and the precious metals market probably really starts taking off, because I think going after Iran is different than, Baghdad and Iraq and those kinds of things.
Is China still involved in manipulating the gold market? I mean, they were buying, or were they dumping? Which one were they doing? I forget.
Well, they're buying, and I think a lot of people have called it manipulation, but, are they really manipulating? They're just buying records amounts of gold, and they're liquidating U.S. treasuries to do it. So their percentage of U.S. treasuries has fallen dramatically, and their percentage of gold has increased dramatically. But, in my personal opinion, I think China has two major goals with gold. Number one, to accumulate gold and do it quietly, reduce its exposure to the U.S. dollar, which they've been doing. And they've been buying gold not just through official channels, and this may be the reason that people say that it's manipulated. When I say through official channels, I mean through the People's Bank of China, but also through these sovereign wealth funds and state-affiliated banks, so they don't have to report all of the gold that they've been buying. So is it manipulation, or they're just trying to not report it? And a lot of countries do the same thing. But, this just isn't China. There's central banks around the world have been hoarding gold. Central banks are on track to purchase around 1,000 metric tons, which is almost a little over 30% of all the gold mined in a year for 2025, making it the fourth consecutive year of these massive acquisitions and record amounts. And central banks now account for, like I said, 25 to 30% of the global gold demand, the double the share that we saw back in 2010 to 2015. So they've really picked up. And that's what people should be asking, because they're not day traders. They don't buy gold today to sell it tomorrow. What they buy, they hold for 10, 15, 20 years at a time. So when they're pulling that much gold out of the market, you don't need much money coming into the gold market and purchasing physical metals to drive the gold much, much higher.
Last question for you. I saw this article on the Economics Times market, and you're talking about Robert Kiyosaki saying silver could potentially double to $70 an ounce this year, and he's urging investors to ditch, quote, fake money. First of all, what's fake money? And realistically, could you see silver going to $70 an ounce?
The first one, fake money. Well, fake money to me and fake money to Robert Kiyosaki may be two slightly different things. Fake money to him are U.S. dollars, and I get why. Look, if there's $10 of U.S. currency out in the economy, and I add $2 more, I added 20% more currency to what was already out there. The currency that's already out there falls by some percentage. So every time we keep adding more and more money, the dollar just keeps getting worth less and less and less, and the gold market becomes worth more and more because you can't print it out of thin air.
Right.
So that's his fake money. He's just saying, look, I'm going to take paper dollars and I'm going to turn them into something tangible. The second part of the question is, do I think silver can get to $70? 110%. And the reason why is it's already been to $50. So today it's, let's call it $33, $34 an ounce. Two different times in the past 20 years, the price of silver's been up to $50 an ounce. Wow. So we already know we can get up 50%. But if you took the price of gold at $2,000 an ounce and you took the price of silver when it was $50 an ounce and you recalculated both of those numbers for gold being $3,300 an ounce today, then the price of silver today should already be $73 an ounce. That's the price it should be. The great part about silver, it's one of the only investments that I can think of that's a double play investment. If the economy doesn't go into recession, if you don't get a correction in the stock market, then what's going to happen to the price of silver? Well, solar's eating up so much silver that we have a 200 million ounce deficit. You can't produce enough silver just for the solar market and batteries and all the green energy move that's going on out there. So silver would do fine in a fantastic economy. In a bad economy, we already know silver goes to $50 an ounce. So if I made 50% of my money because in the next year and a half or 2 years there was a correction in the market, I'd be thrilled with that. I personally think it would go much higher because the gold price would probably be $45 an ounce, and to silver to match that, you'd be up at 90. So to get to $70 an ounce, I believe you will see that in the next 36 to 48 months, that you will see it at $70 an ounce. It needs to play catch up with the price of gold, and as long as gold doesn't go back to 2000, and I don't think it will, then silver has a long way to catch up, and we're already running a deficit. So, well, based on those two things, I think he's absolutely right.
So with the parade today, with the parade for the military, the birthday of America, how would you grade President Trump's first 100 days in regards to how it affects the metals markets?
Yeah, I mean, look, the economy kind of affects the metals market. So I'll just change the question just a tiny little bit. I'll talk about economically, from an economic standpoint, how do I think that he's done. I think the uncertainty around tariffs, I can give him a C plus B, right? Just if there wasn't so much uncertainty there, I think we'd be a little bit better off. But look, there's so much politics going on that it's very, very difficult to get anything in Washington, D.C. with a perfect A grade. So getting to B is almost an A grade over there. I think cutting government spending, I think he had a lot of great intentions. I give that a B. I would have loved to have seen, like Elon Musk, a little bit more cutting from Dodge, and I would have definitely liked to have seen a little bit smaller deficit, because it's a $2.7 trillion hole, and that's not counting the $1 trillion of interest payments. So it's a little too big, in my opinion. I think he's got some ways that he believes that he can make up for that, about $1.7 trillion or a little bit more, with some of the other things. I don't know if that's true or not. But I would personally have liked to have seen it a little bit lower. So from a gold standpoint, if I answered the question, I would say, yeah, pile on all the debt you want, because I'm in the gold market and gold and silver are going to go through the roof. So I'm in great shape. But for the country and the value of the dollar and all those kinds of things, which is much more important to me, then I think could have done a little bit better job. But again, in my opinion, I just believe President Trump really wants to do the right things, and still it's just easier said than done in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Right? It just really is. I don't care if we're all, it's all Republican. I mean, they have political situations that they want, they've got people that they need to feed, and it's tough.
That's the part that really sucks about our government, because it's too much answering to the people that we don't see. And so when they fight them, we call them rhinos and everything, but it just seems like it is at this point a uniparty, and I think we have to make our own personal decisions at this point. Kevin, so if somebody wants to get involved with silver and or gold, I've got the number on the screen they can call. Is there any other information they should know, possibly just maybe downloading a report, or should they be giving anybody a call? What should people do who want to get in the gold and or silver market?
Yeah, I would call and get the information. Your program's about education. We're about education. We want to make sure everybody understands exactly why we believe silver and gold can go where they are. I would call and get this new report. I literally just got it on my desk right before. We're going to add it in for anybody who calls, from your program here, Barry. And look, we always love to do something special for your program, because it's just always enjoyable to be on. Absolutely love the program. So I don't know if people are aware, but if they call or request information, then we credit their account immediately with $500 that they can use for an IRA, all the fees for the IRAs that add up to around $475. So we'll cover all of that. Any shipping or handling or insurance that it takes to get physical metals to your home and get those delivered, you can use it for that. So that's going to be in your account, and you're one of the only programs we do that on. So anybody who calls and wants to get some credit in their account, we're happy to put it in there for them.
Awesome. Absolutely. Well, Kevin, thanks for taking the time out of your day today. I want you to have a great weekend. Be safe out there on the West Coast with all the craziness that's going on. And we'll talk to you very, very soon. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks for having me, Barry.
Great. All right, everybody. That was Kevin Demerit from Lear Capital. I noticed some of the comments in... I don't understand. I guess I will never understand. I guess I will just have to stop wondering why people are so against prosperity. It's an enigma to me because I love looking at deals. I love looking at different ways that we can improve our life here between Robin and I. And it's some are as simple as buying gold and silver. Obviously, I buy real estate. We look at other stuff as well. There's so many opportunities out there, and this is what President Trump is doing. You voted for a man who is trying to create prosperity and opportunity. And then at the same time say, well, it's not for me. I'm not into prosperity. It's bad. We got a window. We have a 4-year window where you better grab as much of the ring as you can possibly get. You better go for the gusto because you may not have this opportunity ever again in your lifetime. For some of you, that's probably okay. For some of you, probably like, oh, I don't need anything. That's fine. But you shouldn't be upset with people who want to go for the gusto. You just saw the President of the United States' sons come out and do a press conference, which I showed this morning, showing, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start a new mobile phone company. And we're not doing it as a 501c3 charity. We're doing it to make money. And I guess the contrast or problem I have is this is what we voted for. When he said, I remember the speech. I don't know if you remember. You remember? Make America safe again. Make America healthy again. Make America wealthy again. And those were the pillars of making America great again. Make America wealthy again. So if you think money and making money or investing and getting a return is bad, then you voted for the wrong president. It really is that simple. So when you see me promoting things, hey, listen, let's do some real estate, let's buy some gold, let's buy some silver, is because I know we have a window, and that window is about 3.5 years left to capitalize on everything we possibly can. I'm helping Ashley create her own LLC and understand how to do different things that she may want to do. Robin, you guys see the artwork. She's going to be selling her artwork. This isn't bad. This is fantastic. You have an opportunity right now. And let me just tell you this before we close, because further, some of you guys might not want to tune in. Some of you guys may be like, Barry, this is too much. Okay, so the rest of you, listen up. All right? I got something I'm going to announce right now to some of you. Some of you guys will be like, oh, crap. Yeah, I got a big one for you. All right, let me just check the time so I'm not mistaken. Tomorrow is the 17th. Yeah. I'm talking to the Secretary of the SBA, the Small Business Administration. Ashley hooked up an interview tomorrow with Kelly Loeffler. It's going to be a pre-record because of her schedule, but I will be talking to Kelly Loeffler tomorrow from the SBA. In case you're not understanding what the SBA is, it's the Small Business Administration. If you go on the SBA's profile on X, it's all about what they're doing now to help people get back into business and prosper. And I'm thinking to myself, why are people worried about this not working? I'm sorry. I decided I'm going to get on this rocket ship and I'm going to put it in the seatbelt and I'm going to hold on. And I'm going to make sure everything that they're doing, to help people, I feel it incumbent upon me to try and help you. That's why I do it. That's why I show you these different products. And, you know, I know other companies, I mean, other podcasters may show you stuff about gold and stuff like that. But I'm trying to tell you why it makes a difference. What you're looking to do, why you need it, why you don't need it. I'm trying to show you why you should buy real estate and how you should buy it and how you should hold it and what you can do. I'm trying to show you because tomorrow she's going to talk about it. I don't know how much time she has. Ashley said I usually have like 25 minutes with people. I just keep asking them questions. I keep asking them questions till they say, I can't talk anymore. I can't talk. I got to go. Got a meeting here. Donald Trump's called me. We have a cabinet member sitting on my little corner of the world here tomorrow. I can't wait. And I hope you guys will tune in. Like I said, it's going to be a pre-recorded video interview, but then I'll play it probably at the 1 o'clock show. Tomorrow is Tuesday, which means it's probably press conference day. So we'll do it. If she does a press conference, we'll cover the press conference, although she may be in Canada, but we'll cover the press conference. And then I'll get to our interview with Kelly Loeffler from the Small Business Administration. Yeah. There we go. Blessed always. Thank you, Barry. Yeah, thank you for watching. Let me just say here, thank you, Melissa, as well. Yeah, I mean, I love it that people want to know more, that they're hungry for this information. Jenna says, "What a great interview that will be." Yep, as long as nothing happens between now and tomorrow at 9 o'clock, I should be good. I appreciate you, Barry. I appreciate you for watching. BLS Doomker, you in here starting trouble again, bro? I keep looking over and people are like, oh, the BLS Doomker is starting trouble. Okay, Barry, please ask Kelly to explain why they had to pull their small business location out of the Los Angeles area. I can already explain the answer to that. See, I love your question. Because in my research, because I have to do research before I talk to these people, so I don't sound like I want to sound like I know what I'm talking about. They pulled that stuff because of the insanity with sanctuary cities. You don't get none no more, okay? We're not playing here. And so that's why she pulled out of L.A. Well, the administration pulled out of L.A. Great question, though. I'll have her talk about that. Let's see. Definitely hungry for the information you give. And I understand not everybody can partake of everything. You know, here's a little bit here with gold and silver. Tomorrow we're going to talk to the Small Business Administration. I'm going to talk, again about real estate. I'm trying to get in touch with another woman who does a lot of what she calls ugly, boring businesses, and she's making millions with it. Stuff that you can think back, could I do this? Even at 65, I'm retired. Maybe this is something I could do. Tell me who else is telling you this. No one. Bumblebee, BLS is trying to be good like I'm trying to be sweet. Oh, that's too funny. I'm acting like an angel. All right, yeah. I got something for you tonight, though. He sent me a link for some music, so I'm going to have to do that tomorrow. All right, so let me go ahead and read the super chats. But now you get a little insight into my thing here is because I'm a Christian. And I've done very well. I'm not ashamed of saying that. I've done very well. And part of me giving back is trying to impart knowledge beyond the news. The news is the news. It's always going to be the news. We'll have our stories to talk about. I'm going to have a whole bunch of stuff to talk to you about tonight, especially with the stuff that's going on in Minnesota. Some crazy stuff happening in Minnesota with that killer. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk more about LA, and I'm sure I'll get some more news stories to put together. But to me, the reason why I do this channel is because I want to give back. I've been blessed, so I have to bless. That's the way it goes. That's what we're told. Too much has been given, much is expected. And so I will do, like somebody complained, oh, you're doing a 3-hour show again? I don't set out to do a 3-hour show. It just happens that way. There's so much to cover. I mean, tomorrow might just be an hour and a half. I don't know. Tonight I know will be 2 hours. But, it's just got to get up. Like I played the break. Get up, move around, get something to drink, touch your toes, stretch. Because I am compelled to give back. And that's what I'm going to do. continue to do that. And, you know, it's something that I just feel compelled to. That's why. If you guys say, no, we don't want to know anything but news, I'm like, okay, you can get that in Fox. You know, Brett Baer, I think he just bought like a $25 million house down here. You know, these guys are making tons, and I never see Brett Baer or Hannity or some of these people come on their show and go, hey, let me show you and tell you how I have what I have. And I drive by Mar-a-Lago. I know what kind of wealth is up there. I can see it. It's right in my face. I know, and I live in Boca, so I can see it here. A lot of people don't see what I see on a daily basis. My grandson came down here, and he's like, is everybody driving Cybertrucks? I'm like, yeah, lots of Cybertrucks down here. Everywhere. Everywhere, Cybertrucks. What? Bentleys? Yep, Bentleys. It's everywhere. And so you become jaded being down here because it's like living in a different world. And so you have to, if you want to stay sane and not become just greedy, give back. That's the easiest way to do it. Give back. That's why look, BLS says when my crypto goes up, it brings me my happy place. Absolutely. Todd Gilbertson says, I'm from Minnesota and it's crazy here. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that tonight. All right, so let me do some what do you call it? Cyber chats. I got cyber on my mind. Let me do some chats, recognized chats, and then we'll get out of here and we'll get back here at 7:30 tonight. Got a really good interview. What's the guy's name again? Let me just and this will be a live interview. The interview is with Ethan Haim, a transformer whistleblower doctor. So that obviously that's when I do the jump over to Rumble, because yeah, they won't like it very much on this platform if I start talking about the Transformers. I mean, it's bad enough that I have to gray out different things that they're doing, the insane stuff that these people are doing, but we do it, we get through it. All right, let me read these super chats and then we can go do what you got to do. I got to do what I got to do, and we'll go eat and say hi to the wife and kiss the dogs and everything and be back here. All right. Jack Derschultz, thank you. Kent, thank you. Leland Hopkins, recommendation, but verify everyone to weed out undesirable to get American-loving citizens. He's talking about what kind of things can we tell Homan and Kristi Noem about bringing back in some of the restaurateurs and hotel workers. Got a good video to show you tonight about that too. Again, can't show it to you here. Tilly, I may not agree with everything you say, but I still like you. That's what we're all about here. Ordinary average guy, acclimate. Eaters of dead, there's always a workaround. Crypto is a big one to escape taxes. I agree. Todd Doyle, make the farmers and hospitality business pay for proper work visas to bring them back and require annual renewal. That's a good one. That's a real good one. Beverly Litton, whoever wants to come back must have proven skills, professions needed here in America. No freeloaders. Years ago, there was a brain drain of engineers, scientists from other countries into America. Yeah, you got to be able to be self-sufficient. That would be the first thing. Are you making enough money at a meat plant to be self-sufficient? Tilly, I like picking my own food from the grocery store. Same goes with furniture. Call me old-fashioned if you like. No, that's a preference. That's completely a preference. I was just talking about how to disrupt something. Benedetta Salerno, Trump mobile equals Dems nervous breakdown. Oh yeah, they're going to be freaking. I can't wait to pull some of that footage in for tonight. Kat says, I just pre-ordered my T1 phone. Awesome. Tilly, with the money that has been stolen from us through the corrupted government, the Trump phone should be free or at least half the cost, even if it's for a period of time to get it. Why should the Trump phone be free if other people stole money from the government? That doesn't really make any sense. I didn't steal. Eric Trump's like, I didn't steal the money from you. Dana Carroll, what about USAID in Cairo, Egypt? Any explanation on Doge discovering the $4 trillion. Yeah, they've been explaining it. Obviously, what you're seeing, and you'll hear that as well in terms of people fighting not to have this stuff turned off. Leon Combs, Trump phone in a second. Hell yeah. Deanne Hobbs, did anyone realize Melania did a chess move of a queen when she stood in front of Trump Saturday night on stage? Read about the queen in chess if you didn't know. I'm going to have to give you a salute on that one, because even I noticed, why did she walk in front? If you guys didn't notice, at the end, I think I posted the video yesterday, maybe I'll bring it, she stood in front of him. She moved, they were side by side, and then she stood in front of him. So you're exactly on to something there. There were so many communications on Saturday. Yeah, but Deanne, I did notice that. Suzanne, thank you. Leland Hopkins, Iran is on the verge of collapse. Yep. Captain Danny, they walked, they crawled, they ran. Hey, did you go to the boat parade on Saturday? Let me know. Tom Novo, thank you. Jay in Vegas. Hi, Barry, SB, Beth. I sent Barry an email in his business to do with a called Trump American Dream Act. After President Trump is done sweeping the streets, this act, if implemented, would end the Democrats. Okay, I may share that tonight. Deb Blank, thank you, Barry, for bringing these guests on to educate us. You're very welcome. Ashley's doing all of that. Beth, I have an LLC with a DBA for 3 years now. I wanted to start investing in real estate per your show. Should I add a separate DBA for it or get a second LLC? If you're going to be buying, okay, this is what I do. So that way I won't tell you what to do. I'll just tell you what I do. I have a different LLC. You don't need the DBA. I don't need a DBA. I wouldn't. But I get a different LLC for each property. If you're going to buy 123 Smith Street, 123 Smith Street, LLC. If you're going to buy 567 Elm Street, 567 Elm Street. You're going to buy 8910 Maple Boulevard, different LLC. Every LLC is its own property management. Do not put two properties in one thing, because then you're increasing your liability and then you can lose everything. So just keep it separate. Make sure your documentation is all in a row. JJ can help you with that as well. So Beth, just make sure you keep everything straight. Different things, different LLC for each one. It's a little bit cumbersome, but you'll feel a lot better making sure you got all that stuff put together. All right, with that being said, let me go to the after party, and we'll see you guys at 7:30. Thanks for tuning in.